Roadwarden. Session 4, let's get started. Wanderlust is an illness cured by talons and claws. So let's see where we are here. We are back at the Pelt of the North. Let's sort of check back in on our some of the quests we've got going. That's sort of our backstory. We're still looking for the Roadwarden. The Styrian was last seen in White Marshes, a village in the northwest, which I don't think we've been to yet. Maybe it's up here? Oh, and we've got those pylons to set up as well. It said we had to put them in high places, right? Bronze rods. I meant to place the bronze rods in high points all across the peninsula, which will allow you to see as sentinels to reach new parts of the land and collect valuable resources. It's crucial that one of the rods be placed in White Marshes, so we want to go there for sure. We have 8, we have to do at least 4. And we don't have like infinite time to do these things. Foggy, the tavern keeper from the northern crossroads, is wondering why people of Old Pagos. And I think we just got to Old Pagos last time, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it Creeks I'm thinking of? Maybe we haven't been to Pagos yet. A young village of hunters and woodcutters placed among a few brooks. That's right, I remember going there. I wonder if getting these like automatons activated, if they can move this rock slide, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe that should be our focus. My spice. Yeah, I don't really have a schedule, you know? Which is probably not smart. I just kind of stream when I have time and when I feel good about doing it. Because I streamed late last night, and then I felt like streaming more today. So here we are. Ladies are good. Sal is at work right now. Carla's chilling by my foot. In her own little stillness. How are you doing, Spice? Well, I always love it when you stream. So maybe we should try making our way to White Marshes. I'm not really sure how to get there, though. Leading to the sea. White Marshes, it said it was in the northwest, right? A village in the northwest. So everything's pointing northwest. So maybe we should just start traveling that way. Let's get an answer from the mayor of Hallersdale. I still haven't, I feel like I've talked to the mayor a lot and I still don't have an answer for that. I don't have anything for them, and I don't have much to spend. feel like I'm still very much a beginner in this game. Like, take that. I still feel like I'm very much a beginner in this game. Like, I've said this a bunch, but like, I don't have a lot of experience with this kind of game. And by a lot, I mean basically zero. That's a good amount of food, though. Yeah, the soft blue is really grown on me. We're in decent shape. Let's travel. Like, I can just go straight there. Interesting. Maybe I should have not gone that far. Oh well, we're learning still. Hi, Lane. Welcome in. Very nice to see you. So yeah, I was just saying, like, I still feel very much like a beginner. Like, I feel like I'm quite scrappy still. Like, I don't have a lot of equipment. I don't have a lot of currency. But that's okay. Carla, please. The path is clear and away. The pebbler is nowhere in sight, but the road is covered with leaves and broken branches. The only fruit-bearing trees are growing right on the sides of the road, surely planted there by humans. There is a sizable amount of fruits and leaves the monster may chew on, so it may return any day now. Let's hope the scavenger was right about the troll urine. Oh, that's right, I have troll piss in a jar. If it craves what this place has to offer so much, I should just get rid of its food. It may take me an hour or two, but at least I'll have a snack. That doesn't really seem wise to cut down all the trees. You keep the jar far away from you, holding your breath, and you spread it around. A few splashes on the road. Oh, I didn't know that's what we were going to do, was use it. A few splashes on the road, a few into the nearby bushes and on the tree trunks. Nagy snorts and walks in place, but once you also draw breath, there's nothing unusual in the air. The urine smell is unpleasant, but nothing worse than Havlavon's harbor. I hide the rest of the potion in my bag and continue. Oh, so I still have some left. That's good. Okay. And also Nagy is our horse. Let's not forget. The corridor of pruned trees leads you to a steep ascent. Behind them grows a peaceful meadow filled with flowers and crickets and the humming of a waterfall. On the beaten path you spot no footprints or wheel trails, but there's smoke on the horizon. Thanks, Spice. I dismount and lead Nagy on a rope. Carla, stop. She just screams. And the pastures and fields are spread over an unnatural plateau. Humans must have been carving in the hill for generations, covering it with soil brought here in buckets and wagons. Among the weeds and tall grasses you spot rotting tools and a tunic. The pasture is overgrowing, and so do the fields. So are the fields? No, I guess that works. Some of the oats are ready for harvest. Something is wrong. I prepare my axe. I stay calm. Let's stay calm. The locked gate is taller than a troll, and you can't imagine climbing up the massive wall. For a moment, you follow the path to the edge of the cliff. The roaring ocean is more than 100 feet below you. You spot no one looking at you from the watchtower, no patrols of archers. The wall is occupied by black and blue birds of various types. You return to the gate and focus on the sounds. There are a few screaming ibexes, and a young boy is crying. I knock on the gate with my fist. She really is. The thudding scares away the birds. They caw loudly, starting the cacophony of throats and flapping wings. After maybe a minute, you hear a bronze plate scratching against the wood as someone reveals the peephole. The strict female voice stops you from moving closer. Traveler, old Pagos is secluding, for it has been smitten by a deadly plague. Be gone before you get sick. Please, I'm at work. Welcome in, Stu. Good to see you, man. So we didn't find White Marshes, but we did find Old Pagos. Let's be friendly. Do you need any help? I'm the new Roadwarden. No one can save us. You look into the young brown eyes that match the skin of the black-haired owner. While the woman looks like a southerner, she has a strong local accent. She follows you cautiously without blinking, like a fighter awaiting a strike. North from here, in the monastery, live masters of spells and potions, blessed people, guided by the right themselves, and even they are powerless. You hear more footsteps gathering near the entrance. May them be blessed, for they look after our ill, a weak voice of an elder chips in. We thank you, Warden, the woman continues. We can't know how many of us will see the winter. If you really want to help us, warn the other tribes. They wouldn't move a finger for us, but we ought to protect them. Well, I'm glad you're all back. There must be something I can do. Can I ask you a few questions while I'm here? Maybe we'll say that. After she blinks, you catch the sadness in her eyes. I've heard such words more times than I can count. We've done all that we could. What's left is to ask the right to ease our pain and wait. Ask, but there's not much we can do for you. We see no one. We travel nowhere. We were born on this hill and will die here. After a few breaths, her eyes get kinder. I'm Tertia. If you bring any news, I'll take them to our council. Hey, Londo, welcome in. Thank you. It's a rendition of my likeness provided by the one and only Spice Cake. That ask. Tell me more about this illness. What does it do? She glances at someone or something that stands to her right. It lasts a long time. Even those who seem to avoid death remain weak for days. There are fevers, headaches, red faces, red eyes, and rash. Those whom we had to burn were sleeping and raving, unable to understand us, and got too weak to move or even drink. She looks down. Children and elderly suffer the most. Hey, Mark. Welcome in, my friend. It's very good to see you here. Cheers, man. Why don't you harvest your crops? Seems like a bit of an insensitive question after they've just said. Thank you, Stu. Hey, Minxie, welcome in. After they've just said that they're weakened by this illness. And we immediately say, like, why don't you work more? I don't know that that makes any sense. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. You can't tell anything from her eyes. Isn't he dead? I want to know for sure. If he's not, what else? Souls perish on the roads every day. We don't wait for him anymore. The best you can hope for is that he rode south. What is it that you were waiting for? That's not much of a secret. She looks to her right, then at you again. Head far east to the crossroads. You'll find a watchtower, an old building made of our stone. You notice the pride in her voice, but hardly used since the war. Your friend wanted to turn it into a shelter, hire guards, patrol the roads. He took our key and rode away. He was meant to meet with us again, trade our materials and tools. Never happened. So I am welcome in. Have a good lurk, dude. Thanks for saying hi. So we've seen that tower already. Any idea who else could have such a key? He's not my friend. Before it was completed, the builders were spending the rainy days in the coastal village in the far north. Gale Rocks, it's called. Ask there. Gale Rocks is journal. That's what I want. No, wait. I wish I could look at the map without going into travel. That's okay, though. Gale Rocks. I don't think I've been there yet either. But the abandoned watchtower. Gale Rocks. Oh, we can go up that way, too. There's still a lot we haven't seen. I think that's partly why I still feel like I'm such a beginner. Okay, I'm trying my best. I want to be a good road warden. Gale Rocks, it's called. Ask there. Far north. So I definitely haven't been to the far north. That's for sure. Why don't you harvest your crops? I'm going to ask this, but it seems kind of stupid. Even though her cold gaze doesn't break, her voice betrays her pain. Some of our youth refuse to stay behind the walls. They say they need to leave before they fall sick. If we were to let them outside, one of them could refuse to come back. You frown. No, it wasn't pain, what you've heard. It's shame. Which way would you take if you were to travel to the Watchtower? Probably west, right? Oh, the northern route, that's safer. There's more tribes there, but the eastern road is dangerous. Oh no, not west-east. No matter from which way you're going to enter it, but if you care about time, she hesitates, you could check on the gate. Though opening it on your own may not be easy. It used to be that our guards were keeping it open for the travelers, but the last one that we sent away, Quintus, that sounds familiar, is either dead or seeking refuge in another village. Still, behind the gate you'll find the shortcut. It's a dangerous path, but your palfrey may be fast enough to get you to the other end. You ask her what can she tell you about this gatekeeper, and she gives you a warm look. He may not be of the sharpest wits, but he's loyal to his duty and returns kindness with kindness, like we all should. I think you're right, Mark. But I wonder if journal humans Quintus, there we go. The gatekeeper born and raised in Old Pagos, he now takes care of the western gate that leads to the heart of the forest. So we have met that person. Western gate, yeah, we met him right here. And right now we're here. So we're not far from that gate. But the one time we made it through this was pretty sketch. Like, we almost didn't make it. One of those, yeah, that definitely sounds familiar. I only played Final Fantasy VIII once, and I honestly don't even know if I finished it. You ask her what she can tell you about this gatekeeper, and she gives you a warm look. Yeah, okay, we got that. Are there any hunters from creeks locked in there with you? She frowns. You're the first soul who came here in a very long time. Were you bothered by any bandits in recent seasons? Not in years, Warden. They did attack us on the road once before, but their little pack won't come here. At first her tone is gentle, but after she blinks twice it turns solemn. Or they would face our anger. Our walls fear only dragons, our blades are made of steel. I met Quintus, he's doing fine. So he's still with us? Her voice rings with enthusiasm. She asks about his well-being, reacting to your story with a mixture of worry and joy. I'm sorry to hear about his nose. I hope he knows what he's doing. In his position, I would just look for work in Howler's Dell, or ask for help from his friends at Pelt. Phantom Lantern. I can immediately believe that was already taken. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh, that's got to be a thing already. I love the way that sounds. So I don't remember what happened to his nose, and that wasn't in the little article we've got, even though that was like 2 sentences. People from the other tribes are looking for spouses, that's right. She blinks, as if the question reached her from another realm. We can't be sure of the next spring, even less so that our gates will ever open. I can't offer you any promises for the tribes. Don't you want me to ask the other villages for help? There's no love between us and them. We don't share drinks, stories, or dances. If it weren't for marriages, our children would never see each other, and if it wasn't for trade, we could just as well live on a mountain peak. They need our stone. We need fishes and salt from Gale Rocks, game meat from creeks, and grain from Howler's Dell. But all of them are harpies, led by greed and lust, the same ills that wounded our grandparents. She hesitates and looks to her left. Still, the wicked souls of White Marshes are even more burrowed in shadows. I want to get there. How do I get there? Sounds like you hold a grudge against them. She takes a deep breath. Yet I won't spread any rumors. As much as it saddens me, they need us to survive, and we need them. And you're even stranger to us than they are. She doesn't trust me enough to say anything more about the other villages. Do you have anything for sale? Maybe some food rations? We hardly have enough for ourselves. We used to get supplies for rocks and sculptures, but the monks advised us against it. Our wares may carry the illness. Okay. So... what's... a village of stonemasons and farmers set on the top of a hill. So I can't... place one of these yet. This would be a good place though, because it's up on top of a hill, but I can't get in. I think we're probably like right here. Or no, we're probably right here at this gate, talking through the gate. Okay. We're gonna have to find a way to help them. Foggy, the tavern keeper from Northern Crossroads, is wondering why the people of Old Pago stopped visiting her place to trade. I can find the village riding west of the Western Crossroads among the mountains. I've learned that the villagers are isolating themselves because of the plague that has smitten them. I should bring the news to Foggy. Okay. So Foggy is up here. So before we go there, let's continue this road. You ascend a gentle hill with green thickets coating the valleys. The path is like an endless bridge built by the ancient three-legged giants, or maybe by the pagan spellcasters. The higher you get, the fewer plants you see. Hit by a cold wind, you adjust your cloak. No worries, Minxie. I hope you enjoyed the chill, and I hope you have a good night and you're able to relax. Feel free to lurk as much as you like. There's Carla again. I ride slowly, sitting in the center of the saddle. Mountains are harsh for horses. You approach the raised drawbridge and observe the face of the mountain. The hooks holding the hourglass are as large as a person, displaying their devotion to the right proudly. I took tremendous wealth and labor. What a waste of steel. I wonder who's responsible for polishing it. The temples in the city are even grander. I guess I'll say that. The rustling of leaves carries no songs of birds, shouts of apes, or whines of hunted critters. The river attacks its banks with a fierce roar. You get off your palfrey. The cave mouths are connected by paths, stairs, and bridges. You don't see any people, but there's smoke coming from one of the entrances, and you hear muffled thuds of a hammer. The gardens are weeded, the buildings firm. The green trees on the top of the mountain bear red and brown fruits. 2 rounded sticks are tied with a rope to a nearby rock. You grab them and take a closer look. They're claves. What's a clave? I don't think I know that word. And who am I talking to? I keep hitting them. I make a few... oh, it's like a giant door knocker kind of thing. I make a few firm hits and shout a greeting at anyone who shows up near the building. The echo of your hits cuts through the swashing stream. After a few minutes, 2 hooded figures leave a cave mouth at the top of the mountain and give you a long look from the edge of the cliff, then walk down the path with caution. You smile and wave to them before they disappear behind the buildings, which are made of bricks, not logs, and are covered with tiles instead of thatch. Little by little, the bridge gets looser, then it hits the grass gently. The taller figure, now covered with shadows, invites you with a gesture. I lead Nagy inside. Greetings. Gotcha, thank you. I don't think I knew that word. And greetings to you, he hesitates. His voice is hoarse but sonorous. Salutations to thou, traveler. He puts his bandaged hand on his waist. You're at Wright's Haven. Wright's Haven. I don't know that I've even heard of this place. Maybe that's what they call it, and it's called something else also, maybe? The greeters take off their hoods. They wear brown, dark, simple, worn robes and ropes instead of belts. They've no jewelry or ornaments, just small bags made of fabric on their shoulders. The larger shell belongs to a strong, barefoot man in his 50s. Despite having no weapon, his eyes are audacious and could belong to a muscle standing in the door of a harbor tavern. His wrinkles are subtle, but there are only a few tufts of gray hair left in his greasy head. His skin is pale, covered with liver spots, though at a closer look you realize a few of them are just stains left by ink. I look at the second monk. The girl is about 14, with unsightly acne on her forehead and a robe that brushes the ground whenever she takes a step. Her black hair is tied into a humble ponytail. She observes your horse curiously, cocking her head to a side. Once she catches your look, she meets your eyes boldly, raising her chin as if to challenge you. Thy mount is free to help itself with hay and water. We'll wait outside. Thou canst stay here for now, but leave before the night. The plague is nearby, the struggle ahead. While they indeed leave the room, their trust only goes so far. They observe you through the open door. The building is a single storeroom, filled with crates and barrels, a stack of firewood and another one of bricks, a pile of straw, a chest, 2 wheelbarrows, and finally the racks, shelves, tools, clothing, and utensils. The light comes from the open gates, accompanied by the sharp draft. I tether Nagy near the water trough and join the monks. I was the adult. The lack of walls makes you feel exposed. A few pairs of eyes observe you from the paths above you, while others either climb to the very top or approach the unremarkable vegetable beds. Most of the dwellers wear hoods, and all of them wear similar worn robes. A chilling wind touches your neck. I'm not afraid of some wind. We're really having to, reassure ourselves of that. Let's, put on our hood. They keep their distance. The man greets you by raising his open palm, wrapped with bandages that disappear underneath his sleeve. His lips form something between a sneer and a smile. What brings thee here? Art thou a go-between? The girl keeps an eye on your axe and occasionally glances at your boot, the one that hides a knife. I'm Leto, the new Roadwarden. Good. Well, the roads need their wardens. The folks need their roads. But there are none behind this mountain. We take care of the one that you've just crossed. Thou dost not need to bother. Thy services are not required. He gestures for you to wait, but there's the man with a red beard. There isn't enough work for the two of you. But where's the man with the red beard? He's asking about Asterion. Asterion, I was hoping to find him here. I'm sorry to disappoint thee. He rubs a liver spot on his hand, but he hasn't been here in months. We rarely have visitors different than our friends from Old Pagos. We don't invite the outside world, and we don't care much for it. Hast thou checked the pelt of the north on the southern road? If he's wounded, it's a safe shelter, I've heard. The girl scratches the ground with her boot, though it remains hidden underneath her robe. The man looks at her with amusement. Looks like Decima here is eager to return to her duties. I'm Ailey, but I'll not shake thy hand. One of us could carry the plague in our flesh. Who can know? Who can tell? What brings thee to our monastery? Wow, okay, there's a lot here. If there's nothing you can do about the plague. Is there nothing you can do about the plague that has beset Old Pagos? Well, his cough doesn't help his hoarse throat. We don't understand what makes it grow. We put to use all the ingredients we found, brewed as many potions and bombs as we could, and they worked for one afternoon. Then people once again fell ill. Who can tell where the sickness dwells? A powerful healer could get rid of it once and for all with a single spell, but no follower of the right in the north carries such talents. Maybe it's time for someone to enter the village and look for the source. Thou thinkest, he smirks. The well isn't poisoned, the sea brings fresh air, the crops have their regular color, the ibexes drop healthy feces, the tribe isn't dumb. No reason to lock you inside. What can you tell me about Asterion? Let me think. He looks at the sky and clenches his fist around the strap of his bag. The first time he was here, we asked him to find us some iron and gale rocks. The second time, he did bring us a few scraps, but was wounded. A piece of flesh bitten away from his thigh. Said that a 100-legged worm had caught him off guard in a meadow. Instead of his pay, we offered him a potion. Tell me about gale rocks. He hesitates, but finally nods. Just some seaweed eaters. Their soil is barren, but the strongest of them spend their days on the boats among the sharp rocks. Those who can't hunt for fish boil water to make salt. They trade with other villages more than anyone in the peninsula, for crops, wood, and meat. He snorts. But they're weak folk. Weak and angry, like a wolf beaten and kicked from a pup. Loud, ready to bite, but all it takes is for someone to raise their hand, then it jumps away and whimpers. He lets go of his bag. At least they follow the right's teachings. Anything noteworthy about the iron he delivered? Scavenged from furniture. A few of them were rusty. Who knows where he bought them? He melted them for nails. Do you know anything interesting about the path leading through the heart of the woods? I used to, but like all places that belong to beasts, it shifts every year. The only reason why it still has trails at all is that creatures use our roads as their own game trails. Only a dimwit would try to cross it now. Well, we're that dimwit. After you ask him if he knows any such person, he takes a deep breath. Well, last I've heard, Quintus, the gatekeeper from Old Pagos, is missing, or dead. He's a brute and an idiot. Can't understand jokes and can't stand weaklings. If thou ever meet him, just smile and let him speak as much as he needs to shut up. Actually met him. I'm looking for a few hunters from creeks. Were they here? Hunters from creeks? He mimics your voice with a hint of mockery. Not a soul from there has reached this temple, and he rubs the back of his bandaged hand and looks at a monk who's carrying buckets of water. Well, a decade? They've got enough hunting grounds, the heart of the woods, the watchtower, the northern hills. Yeah, he's kind of a dick, huh? Trying to learn more about the local bandits. Then ask in the villages. He looks at the wooden entrance hall behind you. No group is going to bother us, for they've got no understanding of our pneuma and potions. Alright. Eudocia the Enchantress wants to place these rods and high points across the peninsula. Can you help me out? He's going to say no. You brought her magic here? He steps back, while Decima turns toward you and reaches behind her back with one hand. Ailey's voice is close to a shout. Take it away before we put all of us in danger. Calm down, it's just a piece of bronze. His pale face starts turning red. The echo adds a thunder to his words. You're not asked for your thoughts. You think yourself a judge after you put your trust in that witch? He points at you with a bandaged finger. She's a beast in clothes. Its claws will tear away thy head. This guy's an ass. Do you need any help? I'm looking for a job. Come on, man. Let me use your hill. I don't have any bars. Definitely not. I mean, I think everybody we've met is nicer than this guy. Anyway, he puts his hands together and repeatedly taps his fingers. After a few breaths, he straightens up. No. Okay. Cheers to that. I have some questions about the monastery. And what could those be? This guy's a dick. I hope he doesn't fall off this hill. That would just be the worst. Does this place have a name, or is it just the monastery? Depends on who thou askest. It's the largest temple on this side of Hag Hills, and the only one beside the sacred cave and Gale Rocks. He points at the huge hourglass. I don't see that in the drawing. I thought, oh, is it the symbol? It's like a winged hourglass. Is that the symbol on the side, right here? An hourglass with wings, maybe? Is it Right Summit, or the Temple of Old Pagos, or High Caves like they used to be for my Nana? He rests his thumb behind the rope on his waist. The tribes come and go, the names shift. For now, we all know what we mean by the monastery. What can you tell me about your order? Or fanatics? How does one describe the air they swallow, the water they draw each day? His contemptuous yet playful smile makes it clear he doesn't seek your answer. I can tell thee it's not old, but older than thou, and that its monks work and pray, but it's not a place nor a congregation. Words don't reflect our purpose, for human tongue is meager and stupid, and so are our ears. It's funny because they keep catching themselves speaking like a contemporary version of their language, and then they have to like catch themselves and change, like they throwing like thous in there, like they say ye or yet you, and then they like stop and say thou, or like can't, and then they go canst. And that's a thing in our world too. Like there are examples of like religions trying to sound older than they really are by like reaching back into history and adjusting their language. It's really bizarre. He straightens up and puts on a more serious tone. We look for knowledge, knowing will not uncover the truth. We study herbs, mushrooms, rocks, and winds. Old Pagos feeds us, and we take care of its orphans. He glances at Decima. Heal its sick, write down its stories. I mean, you're not healing their sick, though, are you? We silence our thoughts, fix our past wrongdoings, seek peace and understanding. I've seen and touched stuff I can't even name, and they were delightful. I now find no difference between what I do to keep my shell alive and what to fulfill the right's will. An old woman without her hood who leans forward while walking exits one of the caves and walks along the rock face, from time to time stopping in places to watch the garden. The scars on her face can't distort her kind smile. With the monocle. It's perfect. Does this place have a leader of sorts? He crosses his arms and takes a look at the cave mouth behind him, then gives you a harsh look. If our prelate was willing to see thee, they'd let thee know. Our prelate. Can't they spare a traveler a few moments? He hesitates. They see no reason to do so. Okay. Tell me about your faith. I'd love to know more. He takes a deep breath, puts on the hood, and closes his eyes. His voice, while still hoarse, becomes monotone, like a scribe reading a list of the dead. The right is the greatest of souls, the wall of light that protects humankind, the life after death. Those who follow their teachings will abandon their shells. To follow means to guard right's tribe, and to help it grow in strength and peace. To achieve this goal, one needs to learn to accept creation and its nature. This allows us to shape matter, souls and pneuma, without turning them against us. To be a monk means to find freedom in right's tablets. To abandon one's ambitions. I serve the right's will. I let it build my salvation. I prepare the tribes for their end. He takes off the hood again. For the first time, you see true gentleness in his eyes. May these words be carried with my blood. So be it. I see. He rubs a large liver spot on his bare hand, piercing you with his gaze. How does one become a monk? He lets out an amused grunt and clasps his hands together. When one needs to join an order, they find a way. It's not aught thou wantest, but a stuff that happens to thee. So it's not something you want to do, it's what happens to you. Give me an example. Oh, I don't know. Abandonest thy past, throw thy pet down the cliff and pray. What the fuck? What? You don't find even a hint of playfulness in his voice. After a longer pause, he carries on. I'd like to learn some of your knowledge about the peninsula. No, he sighs. The order protects what it knows, and we seek no wealth. You remind him of your trade, and he responds with annoyance. Knowledge builds and destroys the cities. We... He points at two monks who are seeking snails among the garden patches, are responsible for what we bring from our journey. A blacksmith isn't judged by the depths of their swords, but they oughtn't sell them to scoundrels. Nice. I use what I learned to protect other people. If you believe that there's freedom and peace in understanding the world, it seems strange that you wouldn't share what you know with other people. He scowls at his young companion, who grins back at him like someone who has just won an argument. He wipes his bare hand on his robe. Well, maybe. Who knows? But it takes more to find peace than just knowing stuff. Wisdom needs order of thoughts, a healthy and humble soul. One can lead to the other, but doesn't have to. It's crucial for everyone's safety that we value our trust. Is this Monk 5? Let's return to my other questions. I don't promise you any answers. Why can't I spend the night here? Let me sleep over. Want us to give thee a chest and a weapon rack too? Or maybe feed thy mouflons in our gardens, or ask us to bed with you? It's not an inn. We respect the hardships of one's journey, so we don't scare off the strangers who cross the mountains, but we don't let them wander about and take our time for granted. He looks at his bandaged hand, makes a fist, and then opens it and stretches out his fingers. Maybe with old Pagos locked, our rules too shall change. What do you know about the necromancers in the north? He rubs the liver spots on his forehead with his bandaged hand, looking with one eye at his short companion. This and that. Great. I heard I can find them in the northwest. He nods. Head back to the crossroads, then north, then right into the bogs where you'll find white marshes. Hold on. Head back to the crossroads, then north, then right into the bogs. So back to the crossroads. Southern crossroads. Western, okay. Then north. Then right into the bogs. It's weird that he says right and not east. Back to the crossroads, north, and then right. Okay. There you'll find white marshes. The tribe used to forage and gather peat, but now it follows Aurentius, their priest. Who knows, maybe he's the reason why so many travelers have disappeared on the roads. Decima scratches the ground with her boot, humming a tune, but Ailey tells her to shut up. He carries on with sudden anger. The story is as old as the rites tablets. Tribes look at monsters and ask themselves, how can we use them? Their pride pushes them into their own fall. They hurt the innocent, then vanish in flames or awake as empty ones. Any thoughts on Aurentius? I know, Senex, I really want to. He's never been here. He's locked in that hut, a prisoner of his own conscience, speaking to his tribe as to children. Could there be a darker joke? A necromancer who calls himself a prophet? As he snorts, Decima puts on a wide grin. What next? An emperor bathing in blood. No follower of the rite could survive such a fall. I mean, plenty of emperors have, maybe not literally, but have figuratively spilled more than enough blood to bathe in. What's your stance on necromancy, in general? He pulls his fingers, gathering his thoughts. My stance? I don't need one. I trust the rite. The dead makers must be weeded out. Their power brings only fogs. One may think the spellcaster is in control of the shells, but once they lose their breath, the dead are freed, searching for blood. Humans will never control the dead. How does one deal with the undead or necromancers? Well, is it a single corpse, a squad, an army? Thou needest to learn how shrewd the enemy is. Can it sense thy presence? Can it use a bow or spells? As long as thou art alone, it's always better to run. The older, empty ones, even more so those that weren't awoken by the fogs, get cunning, human-like, but with cruelty thou hast never seen. What was White Marshes like before the priest's arrival? Far from lovely. His smirk softens as his eyes grow worried. It's been struggling for years, with food, children, the beasts of the bogs, the traders. They were strangers to us, even in the old days, but they used to join old Pagos in their pagan feasts. He looks at Decima, who listens to his tale curiously. But then the monks arrived, and that bridge went down with flames. When the missionaries reached the bogs during the years of war, there were already some wounds that could never be sealed, not even by a shared prayer. Well, if prayer couldn't help. Let's return to my other questions. You want to barter, or not today? Not before the spring. Our order uses every bottle we make to help the sick from Walpagos, as well as to protect ourselves. I could bring you dragon bones or something that doesn't grow in the mountains. He looks at the steel hourglass hanging from the wall. Taste, softness, tools of murder. We shall crave not. One thing we lack are delicacies we could offer to the sick and weak, but thou wilt not find such a thing in this sad land. Thoughts and prayers. Sorry about the plague. Okay, let's go here. As you descend, you think of Ailey's reaction to the bronze rod. You could ignore him and take a few minutes to tie it to one of the ledges just nearby. This place is already high above the woodlands. Ugh. Just in case I look behind, then get on the ground. You seek a spot that isn't too easily seen from the trail, then make sure it won't crumble under your weight. After a few minutes, you finish placing the rod, held by a cord and a few heavy rocks. You doubt anyone would stumble upon it. Yeah, cheeky. I like it. You're not used to the scents of the bogs, but you weren't expecting them to be so gentle. The humid air makes you think of smoked meat, and even though you ride by a few rotting carcasses and animal droppings, just as often as you cross tiny meadows of pink, yellow, and red flowers, the noises tell stories of never-ending wars between the swarms of insects, frogs in their hideouts, snakes lurking among the purple grasses, birds patrolling both the water and the sky, and the saurians preparing to strike from beneath the surface. You can't separate the sounds of the living from those of the dying, if they're even different at all. You reach a boulder in the middle of the road, on the edge of a large pond. The road splits from here in two directions, but the only smoke you see is to the southeast. From the saddle, I see no creature standing in my way. Interesting, so I have to go... Smoke is to the southeast. I love the sounds. Places. White marshes. Let's try this way. The leafless plants resemble tree roots rather than creepers, even though they're dark green and sway from side to side slightly. Nagy stops without a command, unwilling to approach the nightmarish gate. There's no other path in sight. I approach the creepers with a drawn axe. I pick up some branches and throw them at the creepers. What are creepers? Are those like sentient vines? Nagy is smart. Let's try that. You step among the muds and grasses, but some desperate creature scraped this land clean of any wood they could eat. It takes you a few moments before you find any that doesn't fall apart under your touch. Once it hits the creepers, they bend backwards swiftly, then try to reach you with a loud swish, getting a bit longer as they repeat this attempt a few times. You tell your mount to step away, but the plants don't chase after you. Well, that's good. I examine the water. The dirty ponds are hard to see through. It takes a few minutes before you find a stick long enough to poke the water and reach its bottom. Even at the very bank, the water is as deep as your palfrey is tall, and it's quite possible that none of these conveniently spread paths appeared here on their own. Could it be that the locals carried much of this soil by themselves, connecting the deeper bogs with the other parts of the peninsula? Before you have time to dwell on it, you jump back, dodging the strike of a green saurian. You run away so quickly that it gives up its pursuit. Can't cross these creepers on our own. Okay, let's try this way. The road takes you to the edge of the woods. A few trees have found lucky scraps of soil towering above the water, while others, shorter and not as lush, have roots sunk into the pond. Some of the plants were felled with tools, so the root itself isn't so dark, while the few sunbeams getting through the weaker branches on your left are surrounded by darkness and swarms of insects. "Help me! Help!" The sudden cry, as well as screams of pain, reaches you from between the trees, a woman or a child. Try to spot anyone. Among the green and red leaves, you don't see any unusual colors. Come to think of it, there's but a few creatures in sight other than the flies and mosquitoes. The dark-winged birds are quiet. The sparse toads let out sporadic, tense croaks. It may be a trap. We'll try anyway. You lean toward the pond. It's cleaner than in other parts of the bog, allowing you to see the bottom. Parts of it are still more than knee-deep, and the sulfuric odor makes you step away with a frown. The brownish color can't hide all the bones and plant remains that are sticking out of the bed. Oh, shit. Why would we go in there? I take off everything below my waist. Oh, Wow, we look horrible and we smell really bad. You undo your boots and buckles, then hang your pants on the saddle. As your naked skin touches the water, you expect it to be more like a slime, but nothing of the sort happens. Only your eyes and nose notice the difference between this place and a regular pond. The cold water makes you shiver. The voice doesn't stop. You gather your bravery and move forward, disturbing the sediment so much that it forms a cloud of mud after every step. You run into the trees. I follow the voice. It leads you deeper into the trees. You think it's coming from one of the larger plants, with a crown so dense you can barely see anything between the branches. Something lands on your back, and you plunge into the water, getting pinned down to the mud by massive paws. You're choking, hearing only splashes. Wonderful. I need to get out of the water. You try to roll away, and while the creature is heavy with large paws and strong legs, you're strong enough to knock it off yourself. You bounce from the ground and dash through the shallow water, smoothly getting back on your feet, still holding your blade. I gasp for air and look at the beast. The cat's legs are bent, ready to jump, wide and muscular. Its eyes, staring at you without a blink, are round and yellow, with pitch black irises in the center. It's waist high, with its chin hanging just above the water, and a jaw that could bite off your limb in a heartbeat. It has short hair and whiskers, and a nose as big as your hand. Even without the dirt, it's almost black, with glimpses of yellow that form a rose-like pattern on its sides and dots on its head. You can't see the creature's paws through the now clouded water. The cat lets out a growl, like a saw cutting a log. It's unscathed and confident. Uh-oh. I don't know what to do here. Is that Carla? I hope not. No, she's asleep. I take a defensive stance. I run away. If the human voice is still around, I try to focus on it. I mean, this might be like sunk costs at this point. The screams have disappeared, and you notice the sudden noise of flapping wings coming straight at you. You instinctively take a swing. The blade sends the halves of the raven-sized creature into the water, to the enjoyment of the local scavengers. A few gray and red feathers are drifting next to you. I raise the axe, and look at the cat. The cat roars toward its dead companion, then looks into your eyes. As it moves forward, you don't see any wounds on its shell. Try to stay safe, looking for an opportunity to make a precise strike. Keep the beast at a distance, playing for time. Uh-oh. Try to stay safe. You do your best to evade the cat's attack, then to strike it as it charges you, but your attempt fails miserably. It manages to reach your stomach with its claws, slashing through your jacket. Your gambeson keeps you in one piece. Struggling, I push it away with my axe, then prepare for the next clash. The cat roars towards its dead companion and looks into your eyes. As it moves forward, you don't see any wounds on its shell. Okay. Keep the beast at a distance, playing for time. You keep your distance, then duck as the beast jumps at you. So far, your reflex is beyond reproach. After a few breaths, the cat prepares itself for another pounce. Let's hope it's not too patient. I mean, I guess we should try running. We've tried out the other two. Right after your foot hits one of the roots hidden beneath the floating sludge, you realize that crossing the water is going to take some time, a luxury you don't have. The bird and the cat try to get to you again, tearing the armor on your back. Well, fleeing is not an option. The cat observes you with new respect, surprised that you're still standing. It looks at its dead companion and without a second thought leaps away, then partially swims, crossing the pond with a speed matching your palfrey's gallop. You consider following it. Why would we do that? But after it reaches a tree crown with just 2 jumps, then gets to another one with a single breath, you wipe your forehead and turn away. Gasping, wet, and frustrated, you hobble back to the beaten path. Maggie seems worried, and you try to ease its soul with a few encouraging words, hoping it will leave you alone for a minute. You wash your skin, then put on your dry clothes. At least your boots won't give you a cold. Well, I did my best. Great. We are a mess. We are an absolute mess. I mean, do we just continue? I don't get that. You ride along shallow waters on one side, the flooded trees on the other. You reach what seems like the end of the road. The turn south is already overgrown, but likely abandoned after it was devoured by the bog. As you look north, you see a wide clearing that, with time, has become a meadow, and a lonely hut at the end of an often traveled path. At first, you ride down slightly, following the twisted trail. There's plenty of puddles around, as well as brown, gray, and purple grasses, but all of them are too short for any lurking predators, and the few foxes you see far away don't pay you any attention. You pass by the fresh tracks of heavy-hooved beasts, but spot no wild game in sight. Your ears can't free themselves from the birds, rodents, and dragonflies. A mess, but alive and relatively uninjured, and we look horrible. We smell really bad, and our armor is like falling apart. You need to ride carefully. If Nagy's leg sinks into the mud, it may get broken. Oh fuck, thank fuck for this. Hopefully this is like some rest. It's not even that late in the day and we've managed to hurt ourselves so badly. Oh man. Am I a good road warden? Not really. The farther north you ride, the shorter the grass gets. These vast peat fields, broader than 2 or 3 villages placed side by side, are many years old. The turf bricks surrounding the solitary hut are still fresh, drying in the late summer night. The scent of this area is like that of no bog you've ever encountered. Instead of a sublime aroma of healthy soil, it's intense and sulfury, leaving an almost sour taste on your tongue. The short scarp is dripping with water, like a running sore of the earth, carved with spade and muscle. The house, made of birchwood, dried turf, and a blanket of soil, is a structure you're not too familiar with, but you imagine its interiors are much smaller than they appear to be. The walls are a few feet thick to keep in the warmth, and such roofs tend to get soggy until they collapse after a decade or so. The only soul in sight is sitting on the bench, stuffing his mouth with fistfuls of green leaves that he takes out of a small basket placed on his knees. I introduce myself, and for now stay in the saddle. Still chewing, he mutters something in response, then shakes his hairy head, swallows, and puts the basket away. He stands up and takes a single step forward, approaching the edge of the scarp. His arms are entangled by green creepers, longer than he is tall. They rub against the ground after each step, and judging by the way they occasionally twitch, they're very much alive, even though you can't see where they originate from. Leto, the Roadwarden, he repeats, this time clearly. He moves his sealed lips left and right, as if he's tasting your name, still not sure if he should swallow it or spit it out. Your face is familiar, but not this. He points at your mount, staring at it for a good minute. His voice is quiet and young, not older than 30. If you were standing next to each other, it would be almost a head shorter than you, but for now, he towers over you. He has sunken cheeks and sloped shoulders, and while his gray woolen robe was never pretty, it's now close to being a rag, and his sandals reveal long toenails. Not that we can really compare our appearance right now, because we're a fucking mess. Rachel, welcome in. How was work? Did you have a good day? I hope you did. Tried turf. What is this, Twitter? Or the UK? Fuck off, turfs. Not that there are any in this room, but just in case. Free dinner and drinks all day. Well, there you go. And you were with us on your train in this morning. How special. I've been good. Had a good chill day today. Didn't really do any work. Just sent an email to clarify something that I wanted to clarify before I make an appointment with someone. But I'm taking the day off from doing any other recording because I have this weekend off, so I'm going to try to get some of that done then. full circle. It's actually quite a nice thought. I would agree. So yeah, it's been a pretty chill day. And Sal's off work soon, so she'll be home in a little bit. So yeah, just kind of taking it easy. Trying to get good at Roadwarden. But I feel like I'm making poor choices. I'm just sprinting into bogs. But I took my pants off first. So, whatever that's worth. His eyes are as brown and dark as the grasses of this very bog. His left earring is made of a tusk and a feather, while the right one is an hourglass made of silver, though a broken wing makes it at all times tilted under its own weight. The leather strips on his wrists and ankles hold beads, pieces of amber, old game dice, and tiny skulls of birds and critters. Even more cords are hanging from his neck, some of them so long they reach his stomach. They carry countless amulets, some of them torn, dried, shabby, or fragmented, and you spot among them small boxes made of wood and bone, as well as leather pouches which hide even more secrets. Were you here before? Mayhap I dreamt you in my sleep. His voice and look are absent. If so, I'm Thyrsis, the Turf Warden. Oh, we got a turf war here. Playing an altruist with a noble heart. Those dudes are always getting slashed by giant cats and covered in swampy. It's true. It's true. I did not expect a swamp cat, and that's on me. That's on me. Carla just gave me boobs, just so everybody knows. I'm gonna go friendly, because I'm always fucking friendly. Is warding turf difficult? Yep. He looks at you in silence, then yawns loudly. His teeth are yellow, but don't seem to be neglected, at least from this far. It's hard, for it's boring, like a toad's song, he sighs. You're off the main road, stranger. What for? Some plants are blocking the way to White Marshes. How about that road south from here? With a horse and no guide, you'd get swallowed in no time by monsters and the mud. He raises his hands, waggling his fingers as if he's casting a curse. My green pets keep the troublemakers away. I could make an exception for a warden, one willing to prove they bring gifts, not troubles. What's the toll? He reaches for his basket and places it on the lower edge of the scarp, crouching right behind it. You look inside. Indeed, it's filled with wild leaves, flowers, and berries. Give me enough for a day or so, and I'll bend the vines for a day or so. Oh, we do have some. These wild fruits and leaves are not much, but I can give you a lot of them. I do have some. Yeah. He purses his lips, his toes flinching nervously. You think I cannot find those by myself? Fine, go ahead. He mutters with resignation, and you throw in enough fruits and leaves to fill up his basket. He snaps his fingers. Done. This dude's fucking weird. I mean, I kind of respect him that he's out here just like living in the mud, being himself, but he's fucking weird about it. Do you live here all by yourself? Yep. Warlocking, peddling, guarding turf. My tribe dug out what they could this summer. I just keep dragons away from squashing the bricks. Your eyes turn west, following the man's raised finger, and you indeed notice a distant trail of massive three-fingered footprints now turned into small puddles. They're as long as your torso with pointy claws. One of appears to be broken at its tip. I think aren't we a druid? Or are we a pagan? I think we're a pagan. Character sheet. Yeah, we're a pagan. I raise my chin. Did you choose to move to this field, or were you forced to do so? He reaches towards his chest, rubbing a small tusk nervously. One of us surely likes to ask questions while the other's got work to do. His voice is colder than soil. Do you have anything to sell, Warlock? He eagerly smiles and steps away, reaching to the doorknob with his right creeper. Odds and ends. Want to buy a hook? Venturers love those, and I've got it for cheap. He doesn't give you time to respond. On most days, I brew and mix stuff and poisons and medicine if one's desperate enough to cross the bogs for it. I've one that withers plants, and one that kills worms and bugs, and one that keeps flies away for better health. Let me take a look. I've got one fucking coin. I can't buy any of this shit. How do you avoid the wild beasts? 'Tis them who avoid this place. They're afraid of spears, my plants, and poisons. Seeing your frown, he raises his creepers quickly, waving them like a dancer would scarves, yet his arms remain still. They're stronger than muscles, he simply explains, but still, I'm not much of a wanderer. It is very brutal. It does feel like we're in a, like, it conveys danger well. That's exactly what I was just going to say, Lane. It's like when you're playing a Souls game for the first time and you're like, man, I am so far from a bonfire and I don't know where the next one is. And it feels real in that way because there's like stakes. It feels like you're going to die all the time. Yeah, and we're about to. Is Pete really worth constant overseeing? He looks at the nearby bricks and frowns as if he's seeing them for the first time. Sure, kind of, I think. You ask him to tell you about them, but he admits it's the others who harvest it. I meant to pile it up into rickles. He points at a small dolmen-shaped structure. But I'm always so busy, he grins. You asked him what the turf is good for, and he starts to tap his toes. You can build with it, you can burn it, add it to the soil. It's great for smoking meat. We used to dig it in slowly and barter for stone and timber, but we changed our ways. Burn the turf. Yes. Roadwarden, prepare to cry. Scholar of the first sin. Okay. Well, if I go this way now, is the way clear? Oh. Oh, did I need to go back to get to the creepers? Uh-oh. I hope I didn't just waste that. I like these guitars. The road twists between the flooded purplish grasses. The field ahead of you is still green, bearing the second sowing of broad beans. Maybe the third one, if the land allows it. The workers ignore you. Some of them are nothing but bones. Some carry scraps of flesh, wearing them like forgotten rags, and others look almost human, as if they were awoken right after death. Most of the witless shells move around piles of soil, carry wooden logs, or dig in the ground with their bare hands. But there are also those with considerable abilities. They use pitchforks, and hoes, and splitting axes, and confidently cross the uneven ground. There's only a few breathing souls in sight. They observe your passing, but keep their distance. Yeah. I really like the design of the whole game. It's very well presented. It was an interesting choice with the color palette, and I'm glad they chose it. And it's not even like there's options as far as I'm aware. I should probably save, huh? Oh, deaf support. Narration describes sounds in greater detail. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. But there's no, like, way to change how it looks, so it's like they knew what they wanted. It's cozy despite the threat of constant death, exactly. So this is like using corpses as labor. They aren't attacking you, so I don't need to be afraid. The people who live here seem to have everything under control. Okay. I would agree. I would totally agree. The guards let you in without questioning. The entrance and the wall in general were recently constructed, though are still not finished. There will soon be yet another gate, allowing for trade and conversations without opening the village to danger. Just like in the fields, the work is divided between the undead, who carry bricks and take care of most thankless tasks, while the locals cut rocks and spread mortar. The difficult past is still carved in the villagers' gaunt faces and crude outfits, and their brief glances show little curiosity. A few of them are sharing a meal right next to the well, and the victuals in their baskets consist of green leaves, fruits, eggs, and cuts of roasted meat, the food of foragers. You're told to wait here for the mayor. Don't roam on your own. The guard's voice is harsh, despite the stutter. I tether Nagy at a small shed. Me too. I love when accessibility options exist. I love that I'm seeing them more and more as well. The man shows up soon after with a careless saunter, and he hardly spares you a look, instead staring at your palfrey. The stranger from the forest garden. I cannot guess why you would come here. Who are you, even? His stature would be considered average in most villages, but in comparison to the rest of his tribe, he's portly, muscular, tall, and with a large, square face. His hands are resting on the shaft of the poleaxe placed across his shoulders, making him seem even larger. His long, straw-colored beard is shabby and makes his bald head look shiny. You can't really tell how old he is, though you see no wrinkles. Just like the others, he's wearing prominent charms, favoring tiny figurines of animals made of bone and wood. Only one of them is hanging from his neck, a silver amulet portraying the head of a moose with large antlers. While valuable, it looks older than the other critters, and in quite crude form. I introduce myself. He sizes you up, and I'm Helvius. Who let you in? Was it Tursus? He's as much a gatekeeper as a fly's a warden to a piece of shit. He gives you a telling frown. Let's try distanced here. I'm sure he realized I may be of use here. Don't boast. Those like you help others when your pouch gets empty, and we've no need of you here. He starts to twist his wrists, spinning his weapon slowly. Take a good look around while you can. White Marshes isn't for strangers, so we've arrived. We finally found White Marshes. And it was so easy. The turf houses are old, covered with lush grasses and flowers, and you can't imagine any large family fitting inside such small one-chambered huts. The alleys are so narrow that only one cart could squeeze through them at once. Your boots have sunk into the mud. The square is covered with deep boot prints. The noise of hammers shouting, wood splitting, and the shuffling of undead legs pierces through the constant buzzing of insects. Nagy snorts, hunting down flies with its tail. I notice that there's only one elder in sight, and he's observing me. He's standing on the top of a wooden platform by the building that's unlike any other in the village. His eyes are keen. The left one is dark, the right one is gray and bright. His head and face are shaved, and his simple, undyed robe is even in worse shape than the outfits of his tribesfolk. Once Helvius realizes what you're looking at, he lowers his weapon and clears his throat, like a boy caught red-handed. The elder walks away, holding a walking stick with one hand, and touching a wall with the other. Orentius, says the mayor, the priest of our fellowship, and the one who saved our people. He raises his hand, pointing at the dead shells bustling around the construction site. I don't know if that's saved. Nagy's our horse. And we love him, and we will protect him at all costs. Only a little bit. Basically wearing no armor at this point. I look at the undead workers. They don't bother you? I used to listen to stories about them as a kid. He nods for you to follow him. But Laurentius taught me they're no different than boars in fire. He dashes forward and swings his poleaxe, bashing a skeleton's shoulder. The arm sinks into the mud while its owner, a bit awkwardly now, keeps trying to climb up a ladder. Helvius bursts into laughter. That's fucked up. And the locals look away without a word. See, he continues, leading you back to the well. All you need's control. Look there. He points at a dead shell with remains of flesh on its chest and head. There's a white and brown sparrow sitting on its shoulder, preening its feathers. Even beasts know they've got not a thing to worry about. The awoken are now like they were yesterday, like they were in spring, like they were a year ago. Leave worrying about them to idiots and unites. Both human and horse form. This is true. I'm glad you're here, Rachel. Gabe's eyes open. I hear what you say about the Awoken, but your tribe used to be strong without them. So what, Warden? What was 10 years ago isn't, and what isn't doesn't matter. What was 10 years ago isn't, and what isn't doesn't matter. We needed to trade, yet the others pushed us away. We won't let them choose for us, ever again. I'd like to speak with Laurentius. As he straightens up, the moose head on his chest bounces enthusiastically. You and many others, but he's swamped, get it? By his work, and we've enough threats in the shadows already. If he decides that you're trustworthy, he may speak with you once. But why should I even ask him? I need his guidance, I guess we'll say. Then seek fortune tellers and scholars, he scoffs. We have our own struggles to solve before we start leading outsiders. I'd like to learn more about White Marshes. Don't bother, both us and yourself. The tribe's been taming the bogs for 5 generations, but the fields, he moves toward the gate as if you had no opportunity to see them before, are from a few seasons ago, thanks to Laurentius. We used to live on berries and meat, selling peat and timber, but soon we'll need no outsiders. After all these years of feeding our blood to saurians, leeches, and merchants, better days are coming. We made them come, and we deserve them. He fondly wipes his blade with his thumb, then clears his throat. If the right allows. So you want to separate yourself from the other settlements. The tribes with little iron and bone struggle more and more. We're getting ready to welcome plunderers the way they deserve, all. Our palisade was enough. All this, he waves at the wall and his voice is full of pride, was built in not even 2 years. Can you believe? You glance at a yellowish skeleton that carries 2 large rocks, each too large for any human to lift on their own. You used to sell wood, correct? He nods in approval. In the old days, our firewood warmed up all walls and toes on this side of Hag Hills, but Gale Rocks in the far north built its own hamlet for woodcutters, and Howler's Dell grew a fine garden for themselves just to get by without us. They have oaks, cherries, and their own darker birches. Have no more reason to trade with us, other than peat. You glance at the buildings. While they are indeed new, most settlements in the province would view them as crude and cramped. Is Asterion around? Huh? Why would he be? You pay attention to his confident stance and strong voice, with its usual hint of disdain, and spot no sign of a lie. He's hardly ever been here. I've no need of wardens. You say you know nothing about Asterion, but people claim he had strong ties with your tribe. Helvius begins swinging his axe left and right, the heel of the haft now resting in the mud. Trying to recall the past, he makes a puzzled frown. Know what? I was told he met with our warlock often. Who knows why? Ask him if you must. So now we can talk to him, okay. The people of Old Pagos are fighting a plague. Fuck! He looks at the dark clouds and sighs. Who? Kids? Elders? While you speak, the nearby villagers stop their work, and even the undead are told to freeze in place, offering your ears a bit of relief. You answer a lot of questions, making the muddy square even more grim. You hear someone weeping, and a young woman announcing, "It's not fair, even for them." The mayor nods in agreement, keeping the axe on his shoulders. I'll tell Laurentius. From now on, we'll gather our wood chips and twigs in a shed. He raises his voice, looking into this tribe's eyes. We may have enough for them before winter. Were you recently bothered by any highwaymen? He reaches for his hair so quickly that it makes you flinch, but then scratches his head gently. And if so, we deal with them on our own, without some warden's help. According to what an old druid told me, the highwaymen bother you much more severely than you lead to believe. So you're bothering other people with these questions as well? He scowls at you but carries on. Glaucia's angry with us. Took our food and tools, beat our foragers, broke our traps. But we don't need a stranger's guidance. I seek a few missing hunters from creeks. Are they here, maybe? His voice remains the same, but he squeezes the long haft of his axe. Dahlia, right? Was here, but many days ago, with questions on howlers and cats. Some dumb bet, she told me, was heading back north. Oh shit, is that whose voice that was? Was that Dahlia's voice? And we didn't save her? fuck? Shit. Maybe we scared the cat away with our pathetic nature, and she's okay. Eudocia the Enchantress would like to place this rod in your village somewhere high. Would that be a problem? She what? Let me see. He swings the hollow piece of bronze like a sword made from a branch, then raises it above his head, staring at it with little patience. A lightning catcher, or a toy. Well, he gives it back. Come one day before noon. You'll go out with the foragers as a guard. Work with them for half a day and we'll put it in a tree. On a roof, mayhap. It's too late to start any work now. Maybe another time. He closes his eyes and sighs, waiting for you to speak. Can't I just pay you? 4 bones. I don't have it. Maybe another time. Shall we trade? I'll pay you for 3 with 1 bone. That's all? Okay, no. The locals keep their distance, both from you and from their undead workers. Yeah, I don't know, Lane. Maybe I could have somehow been better prepared, like had a weapon, but the weapons have all been like really expensive, and I just haven't come across enough money at all. So, I don't know. Thank you, Rach. Thank you, Lane. This is just more... Yeah, okay. I address the guards. People from the other tribes are looking for spouses. The taller gatekeeper gives you a long look. We need no matchmaker here. Our youths work to do, and then they're free to go wherever they want. And you ask if the village is open to invite new dwellers. He snorts. You think they're going to move to the village of the dead? Good joke. You're almost there. Thank you, Stu. I approach the well. The locals observe your hands carefully while you're drawing the water. After you quench your thirst, you try to wash your face and neck. One of the older women approaches you quickly, wagging her finger. We've not enough for this silliness, she rebukes you. Water your horse if you have to, but we need the rest for ourselves. The stern gaze of the other villagers leaves you no room for discussion. You've behaved uncouthly. I observe the undead workers. Not being allowed to leave the main square, you observe the shells walking through the gate or helping the builders at the wall. The skeletons are not at all complete. Some of them lack a rib, a foot, or a jaw. Many of their bones are cracked or broken and seem to be connected to each other with nothing at all, as if the pneuma that keeps them moving knows which parts should stay firm and which ones should twist or bend. Those that kept some of their skin and guts don't smell, rot, or bleed and make you think of dried meat. It's as if these scraps of flesh serve no purpose, and seeing how many of these laborers already have great holes in their stomachs or limbs with revealed bones, it could be that they are just in the middle of process of becoming like their naked counterparts. The undead loyally fulfill their tasks. So far, you've counted 5 people able to give them orders. Some do so by speaking out loud, while one woman simply looks at a shell, no matter how far it is. The workers, while witless, maintain some sort of carefulness in their actions. They stop when someone gets in their way and use tools, if they know how, avoiding pointless harm to their shells. There may be more than 50 creatures spread across and around the village, but you can't know how many you haven't seen yet. Many of the fresher undead are elders. Among the skeletons, you spot some that used to belong to children, but none to infants. It's pretty bleak. Maybe such young shells are too difficult to sight even for the locals. You notice that all the flies land either on the locals or on your palfrey. They avoid the awoken shells without exception. I ask the guards if there's a room I could rent for the night. I guess, One of them sighs and tells you to wait where you're standing. After a few minutes, a group of locals approaches a more neglected turf house and starts to empty it. They take out old crates, rags, casks, bricks, then leave them by the outer wall, at least for now. It's an old shed, explains the guard. There you won't bother anyone. We'll be ready before you need it. Okay, so we might wait. Oh, that was like a little loop there. Okay, I see. 2:15. What time is it? We've got 4 hours. So we could basically get... Let's go to Foggy and back. I don't know, is that wise? 2:15. No, then we'd be traveling at night. Let's wait. Let's wait until evening. And sleep. So we won't sleep very well. Okay, we'll try it. A persistent shouting voice wakes you up. Weak moonbeams squeeze through the smoke holes, but to have a proper look around, you open the door. There are flickering torches at the main gate, accompanied by a solemn prayer and timid shouts. You put on your cloak and boots and leave the shed. A few of the locals, dressed in their regular worn and muddy clothes, surround a large group of the undead. Touching their half-rotten limbs, revealed rib cages, and motionless heads. A hooded woman, sonorously, singingly, begs for rights, guidance, and protection, but you don't pay much attention to her words. The man known as Orentius is standing beside the gathering, with a revealed torso and walking stick beneath his shoulder. Every now and then he cuts his sides or his back and fills a wooden bowl slightly. Then a follower steps closer, puts 2 fingers inside the liquid, and takes it to one of the awoken creations. The lights dance around them, casting shadows that you could swear hide cruel spirits. You don't know how long you'd been observing the ritual when the scar-covered man turns towards you. His innocent, sad eyes carry no judgment or reprimand, yet you suddenly notice how cold your calves and neck are. Autumn is surely getting closer. You wade through the mud. So I think I remember, like... I think Eutychia said something about like doing this bronze rods thing before autumn. But I don't see that like parameter here, so I'm not sure. What has happened to them that they feel justified in doing all this? So not only do they awake the dead, they use blood magic. If the United Church learns about this, they won't let it go. Let's hope they let me leave this place. These people are beyond redemption, fanatics. What has happened to them that they feel justified in doing all this? Oh, okay. Even though the village seems to be on its legs, most shells you spot are dead, just as occupied as they were during the night. I go to Helvius. About the rod, we'll do the work. No worries, Rachel. Glad you were here. Hope you have a safe rest of the way home. And thank you for that command. Very good to see you, as it always is. After half an hour or so, the expedition is ready. 6 souls, none of them older than 40, and with no undead to assist them. Too dumb, the oldest woman explains, and we've no overseer with us. Their accents are heavy, but they rarely address you. For most of the time, they exchange single-word commands, gesturing for you to quiet down whenever you step on a branch. You spend half a day following the bog paths, but also going deeper into the wilderness. As a group, you manage to scare away the smaller beasts, and your guide claims to lead you around the hunting territories of the larger predators. From time to time, you keep what looks to you like the most inconvenient trails in sight, yet no one objects. You cross the muds, shallow waters, and ancient dark game trails, tracking any movement among leaves and grasses. Hungry and annoyed by the insects, you go back to white marshes, carrying baskets and sacks full of mushrooms, berries, herbs, and great leaves, but also a few birds and furry critters. As we head to the village, I follow the guide patiently. We'll follow the guide patiently. Helvius waits for you at the gate, nodding with approval. 2 steps away from him, you see a short corpse, bare-boned above its waist, but still wearing pants and carrying scraps of meat on its feet. Not giving you a moment for a breath, the mayor tells you to fetch him a rod. After you do so, he throws it at the undead, bouncing the rod off its head with a thud, and starts to laugh. "Go on now," he commands it. "Put it on the tree there, and tie it with a rope." His worker bows down to pick up the tools and obediently walks away. We had a deal. Wait, I'm confused. Why would I do this? He's doing what we asked. I say nothing and splash my face with water at the well. It gives you little relief. You'll need bucketfuls of water to wash the bogs off you. The man leaves you behind, amused with the way the undead tries to approach the new challenge. A few times, you hear the dead shell falling from a branch and the man's sonorous laughter. I don't like this place. I've placed a rod in White Marshes. Okay, cool. I've already placed 2. I currently have 6. Alright, cool. So that's working, at least. I have some wares to sell. 3 with 1 bone. How many do I even have? Because I might as well sell these, I guess. 1 bone. Like, a crossbow we don't even have. I'm going to sell these because we don't even have a crossbow. I don't know if that was a wise choice, but yeah, we only have 2. We have 2 now. We need to eat. Let's go see our girl. As you ride past the fields, one of the local farmers enters the road, gesturing for you to stop. He's holding a rusty sickle and carries a basket on his back, filled with various weeds and a sharp club. His patched, worn tunic is neglected, but fitting for a farmer. The lean years left his face skinny and his teeth crooked, but his sad eyes hold heartwarming kindness. "Hi there, Warden." He has a thick local accent. "I've been wondering just now. It's a small matter, you see. Do you know how to read?" "Oh, I don't? That sucks. I wish I did." "Read the letter you received." New entry, read the letter. You received a bone tablet. "I see." He gives you a sad smile. "But still, you have a horse, I mean." He raises his eyes as if to make it clear he's aware that you're sitting on a saddle. "It is, you ride places." "Hey. Welcome in, raiders. Meki, thank you for the raid. Skanda, good to see you. Jill, good to see you. Stu, good to see you again. Thank you for that. Meki, that was fast. Well done. Callie, welcome in. Thank you, Stu, for the shout out for Meki. I appreciate that, man. Playing some Ragnarok. Can you read? No. Can your horse read? Maybe. Welcome in, raiders. We are playing Roadwarden. MDB is here too. Hello, MDB. Hope you all had a lovely time with Meki. I'm sure you did. On the very slight chance that anyone here is not following Meki, you absolutely should be. He's a delight of a human. Skanda, I'm doing all right. Thank you very much. I hope that you're doing well too. I love that pyramid head blush emote. That is incredible. It's pretty good. How was Ragnarok? Are you still enjoying it? I quite liked the, what was it, 2018 God of War? And I would definitely play Ragnarok someday. I will definitely play it someday. I've been trying not to see anything of other people's playthroughs. But I'm sure it's great. I quite enjoyed the other one and just improved on it. That's awesome. That's exciting. I know it's a hot game right now for sure. Great to see you all. Hope everybody's doing well. We're having a very chill time with Roadwarden. We might play a little bit of something else in a little while, but we're going to keep going with this for a bit longer. It's very cozy. If you haven't seen Roadwarden before, it's basically like it's kind of like a fantasy novel, really. Pixel art, text-based RPG, and we're doing really well. We're not even close to dead. We have almost died a bunch of times. So this guy just gave us a tablet we can't read, and he's going to ask us to give him a few moments. Without waiting for your response, he runs to the village and returns to you with a small sack in his hands. How about you take it to someone smart? He unwraps the package and reveals a large wax tablet made of bone. It's a letter for someone I care about, but I'm not sure what it says. I'll give you a coin once you read it for me. You take the tablet from his open palm. It's fancy, unlike the wooden ones. On its back you find an engraving portraying a large furry beast made of a troll's hip, the farmer says proudly. That's a pretty tablet. He puts his hands on its sides. His smile is filled with pride. Did it myself, with cold nights and a little iron. It takes thinking to keep your hands busy. Why do you need my help? Probably because he can't read. He frowns as if the answer is obvious. No merchants come here in these days, and no missionaries. And we don't need to read around here. But do you have a priest in the village? He looks at the gate as if he just realized you're right. I asked him. His tone is cold, but he was no help. Said the letters are blurry. They look fine to me. Fine. I'll see you soon. But we have our horse Snaggy, exactly. No worries, Mecky. Thank you for the raid again, man. Have a good post-stream lurk. Hope you take care of things. Scanned Pathless last night was a lot of fun. We did the next area. I think we did 2 bosses last night. We might have done 2 bosses last night. We're ready to enter the final area, I think, if I understand sort of how the game is structured. But yeah, still really enjoying it, and the boss fights are rad. I like that they all have a similar kind of format, but they're all unique. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. He waves to you and steps away, clearing the path. I'll wait for you with the coin, I promised. Okay, cool. Wait, how am I still here? Oh, that was on our way out of there. Okay, I understand. The light shines on the water and the empty road with no herbal bed or travelers in sight. The tavern looks like an abandoned hamlet. The tavern staff is sitting on the stairs enjoying the light in silence as they share a roasted fish. I approach the foragers. Zvi is trying to remove a green mark from his jacket with his own spit. Admund, Dali, and Vashel didn't return from their hunting trip. Did they share any plans with you? Oh, we could do this. Oh. Let's hunt while it's still early. Let's talk first. Why would they? Growls Zvi. They don't waste our time. We don't bother with theirs. Ilan's eyes are a bit warmer. Efren already asked us. They ate there on the stairs, then left days ago. They didn't want to get in each other's way, so they planned to spread. That's all I know. Seeing your look, he spreads his arms in an awkward shrug. They were laughing, eating, all confident and strong. I didn't know they would disappear. You consider his words when the shorter man starts to snap his fingers. Wait. I heard one thing. Something about, that they won't go north because of the dark magic in the tunnel. And that's smart of them, concludes Ilan, with a humble smile. Better than nothing, I'm sure they're fine. They aren't. So Caius, your boss told me you have some sort of visions. He meets your eyes and straightens up, reaching out to you with his dirty hand. I allow him. It rests on your shoulders like a light bird. Your nose tells you that he hasn't washed in quite a few days. The right hears the prayers of the people. I mean, of the 10 cities, all the tribes, and the empress, and the priests, and merchants, and farmers. We thought things were lost. The glory behind us. Punished by humiliation for our weak hearts. He starts to shake his stump a foot away from your face. But there's hope. His voice gets stronger with every heartbeat, and a wide smile shows up under his beard. The rites test is behind us, and we, the sinners, have failed it. Now are the days of atonement, and of the new cities, and the new tribes, and the cleansed land. We have to fix ourselves, change what we can, weed out our sins, and bring fresh hearts to the holiest soul carrier, and let them guide us anew. And with new tablets and prayers and a new church, the only church, yes. He steps in place, bursting with excitement. All the rivers will flow as one wave, and the new cities, the reborn city, will wipe out the barbarians. He spits on the ground and send them back into their chains. He points his hand south. We will come through the ashes, reborn into a power greater than any fortress, than 1,000 dragons, than all the ships and armies. He steps back, lowering his head. I, the humble servant, was granted this vision. Great news! Great news for you. I love that for you. I see. He gives you a harsh glance and walks away, nodding and raising his voice. Open your heart, or the wave will take you too. Zvi presses a clenched fist to his lips, stopping himself from laughter, while Ilan looks at the prophet with concern. Don't push him any longer, friend. He told you all that is already. I have everything I need. Let's hunt while it's still early. Ilan clasps his hands, then we're going. Idiot, take care of the horse. He nods towards the man with one hand. Ilan puts proudly a rope and a bag on his shoulders, while Zvi shoves everything under his black cloak. They gather by the gate and mock their companion as he toddles toward the lake with an empty bucket. I grab whatever may be of use of my bags and scratch Nagy's neck. Yes, we do. The brook carries down leaves and branches from the hills, sending them into the lake. The statue stands in all its glory, observing the road and those who use it. The coin you left in the wooden bowl is no longer here. A nice thing, isn't it? Ilan thunders behind you. It's older than our home. What'd you say? Chips in Zvi. Do you have such things by Havavan on the roads? Carrying your belongings on your own is surprisingly tiring, and you make noises with every turn. Whinnies. We do, but they're old, from before the war. He makes a satisfied grin. The war has ruined everything, hasn't it? All the monuments and palaces and temples and slave owners. Poor, poor northerners. After a short chuckle, the larger man goes on. What sort of statues used to be there? It's all sorts of important figures, heroes of rights tablets, local champions, famous adventurers. People pay sculptors to honor themselves, to make themselves remembered. They mark places of importance or spots where an important event has happened. They don't portray actual people. Let's say that. Ilan nods. Stories over people, That's what you get when you base prayers and gods on old tablets. Some of the southern tribes do the very same. The absent eyes of the statue have nothing to add. So, do you know who this is? Nah. Ilan is more focused on the fish breaking through the surface of the lake. It's old. And the woman is a stranger. I heard no stories of it. My ma could. It was me who got rid of those bushes, you know. Zvi narrows his eyes but speaks with a cheerful tone. Ah, and I thought a beast ate the leaves, but there are no paw prints around. I don't think anyone in the coast is going to kneel before it, adds the larger man, though I guess it does look nicer now. We should move on. Aye, let's not linger, says Ilan, as he walks down the road. We move forward. The valley seems especially peaceful today. A couple of lizards are resting on the rocks, basking with no worries. Ilan points east to the large bird at the edge of the horizon, which freezes in the middle of a step and turns its orange head in your direction. See? Time to get ready. What's the plan? Well, avoid the beak and the legs and the trample. He pauses, inspecting the loop at the end of his rope. And don't hurt it if you don't have to. We don't want it to be a bother. Zvi jauntily drops his belongings in the middle of the road and jumps in place, rhythmically breathing. After he takes off his black cloak, he reveals a set of fancy clothes made of black leather, clothes of a sneaky adventurer. It charges like a moron. Be nimble, that's all. 1 or 2 ropes on the neck and we're halfway home. But don't let it pass by you, I'll stay alive and you do the rest. Should I also take a rope? I can throw it at the bird and pull once it gets behind me. He just said don't let it pass you. I'll stay alive. Pretty much, Ellen bursts into laughter. Just be careful. We don't have magic on our hands. Alar is here, and Alar has donated to the dream. Thank you, Alar. I very much appreciate that. How's it going, man? Thank you very, very much. And Callie is here with a 9-month resub. Thank you, Callie, for 9 months. Gonna take care of some post-work chores and be back. No worries, Callie. I hope your chores go quickly and easily. Thank you very much, Callie. And thank you, Alar. I really appreciate your support. And it means a lot that I've got you all in my corner. Lurking and listening in the background while you hobby. Awesome. I love the sound of this wind here. 45% is amazing. It really is amazing. It's been like a week. It's incredible. Thank you, Callie. Enjoy the lurk. We don't have magic on our hands. I have some magic. And we can't buy another Roadwarden, adds his companion, so don't make this a bad trade for us. I wait for them to get to the sides of the valley, then approach the bird. What could go wrong? Also, our armor is non-existent. It's taller than Nagy, with wide breast and long, thick, partially feathered legs that could easily trample your chest. Its thighs are thick and powerful, and the pointy beak could swallow your entire forearm. Your steps are getting closer. Rachel is home. So glad you're home, Rach. Time to get cozied. I need to calm myself down. I focus on my breath. You put your right hand on your chest, noticing it's rising and falling as the air moves through your nose. You can't take your eyes away from the creature's overwhelming posture, but as your breath remains deep and slow, you don't feel afraid, just ready to defend yourself. Soon the bird is surrounded by your group, and the pond behind it blocks its path of escape. Once it realizes that, it speeds up, charging in your direction. I take a good look at the monster. It's tall, wide, with a massive head. Its feathers are torn by the wind. They're vividly brown, white, and creamy, longer than your handspan, coating the creature like a cape. Its steps are heavy and deliberate. The neck, as long as a limb, keeps moving around, sometimes staring at you with sometimes staring at you with but a single black pupil surrounded by deep orange. The light gray beak resembles the leaves of the local plants. The tip is curved, pointy, and in no way smooth. It carries dozens of grooves, maybe a sign of old age, or maybe a trace of hundreds of hunts. I try to find its weak spot. It's just a huge duck. A respectable opponent. I may be forced to kill it after all. Am I even ready to face it? A respectable opponent. It waits no more. It raises its head and makes a long, piercing screech which fills up the entire valley. The feathers on its neck are shaking, but also waving, moved by the muscles. It then flaps its wings and lunges forward, still shouting, charging at you with full force. I hold my ground, make a quick dodge, and grapple the bird. The giant feet are pounding the ground, with every leap scruffing up clouds of leaves and sand. It lowers its long neck, pointing it at you like one would a spear. You wait to duck at the very last moment. In the blink of an eye, you show up at the beast's side, pressing your shell to its large chest, too large for you to wrap your arms around it. You try to avoid the massive legs, but the monster turns out to be as confused as you are, making an angry screech and trying to shake you off. The feathers are scratching your cheeks and getting in your mouth. Once the bird gets rid of you, it runs east, not aware that it only helps your companions. I should try to rope it. I keep my distance and dodge when necessary. I hold my ground. Let's try... I don't think we were supposed to rope it, though. I keep my distance and dodge when necessary. Oh, that didn't help. You do your best to find a balance between running to safety, jumping away from the beak, and staying close to hold the bird's attention. Its reflexes are so quick that you can't imagine doing all this while also trying to strike it back. Finally, the beast lands a hit. Your gambeson, already damaged, isn't enough, and you feel the stickiness of your blood. Though in pain, you manage to leap away, then wait for another charge. I should try to rope it, I guess. You prepare yourself to throw, and the creature gets distracted by the approach of your companions. Your loop lands on its head, so you pull, squeezing the monster's thick neck. It twists its shell in anger, then runs at you, not giving you a chance to choke it. While you still may be in danger, you now have an additional way to stop it from running away. Let's try the grapple again. Nope. You wait to duck at the very last moment. You try to catch the beast from the side, but it has enough time to peck your shoulder. Your gambeson already damaged isn't enough, so we get hit again, because our armor doesn't exist. You press your shell against the monster's wing, trying to avoid its legs. The runner, as confused as you are, makes an angry screech. That's the same paragraph. Once the bird gets rid of you, it runs east, not aware that it only helps. That's when the loop lands on its neck, tightening quickly, and Zvi shouts cheerfully. The bird remains silent, maybe already out of breath. But then it dashes forward so fast you can't help but step back. It either doesn't understand the danger involved in moving in its situation, or doesn't care about it. It runs forward, trying to flee. It makes 5 jumps. You hear Ilan swear. Without looking at him, you know that he let go of the rope. You muppet. Since I've already caught it with my own rope, all I have to do is stop it from getting away. Let's try that. Great. You dash to your rope and start to roll it with both hands. You plant your feet on a convenient rock, then pull, felling the bird on its side, but its strength and weight knocks you down as well. It tries to get up, but you keep pulling, fighting against its muscular neck and legs. Ilan comes to the rescue. It's now 2 against 1, and the beast can't make as much as a step. Once Zvi grabs the second rope, the battle is over. The bird staggers, trying to keep its head straight, until, exhausted, it falls to the ground. You had literally one shot. This was his idea. Time to regroup. The bird keeps trying to find a way out, but with little luck. Once it regains a bit of strength, it charges at you. But after just 2 leaps, it gets stopped by the second rope. It regains its voice, screeching at its tormentors. But there's something more hidden behind its previous threats and anger. Maybe pain. Maybe contempt. Ah, damn good job, thunders Ilan. He starts to laugh. You were jumping around like a monkey. You have some legs. Ah, you're good with the loop, adds Zvi, loudly, gasping for breath after a long run. Better take this. He gives you his own fine quality rope. We won't untie that one of yours anytime soon. Shag me, I missed my throw. He shakes his head with a mixture of anger and embarrassment. Good thing we hired you. I smile. Good teamwork. I nod at her prey. We should go. If anything tries to get us, we'll struggle to keep the bird on the rope. Yeah, let's get out of here. I can't argue with that. Ilan stretches his large legs and prepares his bags. We're not much of fighters. I don't wish to pay you for saving us on the road. The other forager chuckles as he stays away, keeping the exhausted bird on the taut rope. We're ready if you are. I gather my belongings and lead the men north, looking out for any beasts. What a mess. Every few minutes, the runner tries to get away, and even though it's exhausted, you have to move slowly, paying attention to its steps. The foragers seem to know what they're doing, and at no point you feel threatened by the creature. You keep looking around, but the other beasts seem to stay away. At one point, you notice a blue wolf among the shorter grasses, but it only observes you in silence, standing on all paws as if it's ready to run away. Your anxious companions fall quiet, but you keep moving forward. In the middle of your journey, you think about Nagy, as we typically do. Thank you, Skanda. Sal just got home, and I'm starting the kettle for her, so that you might hear that noise. During your stroll, everything seems taller, and the creatures you pass by feel more real, as if they are no longer just shadows for you to leave behind. Thank you, Stu. Oh my god. Feel lonely without Nagy. Skanda, you mean Nagy and I, right? Journal updated. Bird hunt. Okay, we're finally getting some fucking money here. But we're gonna have to spend it all on fixing our armor. Foggy observes you from the top of the stairs with a hand resting on her stomach. Well done, dears. This is one of our favorite characters. She grins at the sight of the runner. Tether it close to the water, love. She looks at you. Be nice and head to Creeks today or tomorrow, will you? Tell Ephraim we're coming, and to give you a bone for the message. She glances at the man with the one hand as he scowls at the beast. Before she enters the door, she smiles at her son. Once you're done, wash your hands and come for dinner. Tell me everything. Tethering the creature to a beam takes you a few minutes. Ilan's gasping for air, leaning on his knees, and while Zvi keeps his posture straight, his red face betrays him. Well, says the tall man, I have your dragons here. Thanks for your work, friend. The ring-shaped bones are covered in his sweat. Nagy is observing the movement on the lake. I will tell her. She's got an appointment on her laptop she needs to get to, but I will tell her when she's done. Is there any reason to approach the foragers? Zvi is trying to remove a green mark from... Yeah, no, okay. So I enter the tavern. There's a pleasant scent of chamomile coming from the unusually clean cauldron. Oh, what did she just say to us? She just said to us to go to White Marshes, right? Bird hunting. Creeks. I was asked to bring news of the creature to Creeks in a day or so. Okay, so I need to not forget that. Creeks. Oh, right up there. Okay. That's not far. We can go there next. Foggy is eating a stew from a bowl, but when she sees you, she finishes it with a few large gulps. She welcomes you with a smile. I bring news from Old Pagos. They're not good. Oh, quest completed. We got gold for that. Listening to your tale, she rubs her forehead. Well, not what I was hoping to hear, love, but I'm glad you went there. Better warn the other settlements. Folks should know before they send their own messengers. It's going to be a rough few seasons for all of us. She puts out a dragon bone from her pocket and tosses it in your direction. Here. Good job. She steps toward the ajar door and looks at the lake. I have some questions about the peninsula. Which place? Oh, let's ask about... White Marshes. Let's see what she thinks of White Marshes. It's It's an old village, placed among the bogs in the west, not so far from here, but the road there leads around the woods, so it takes a good while. She rubs her chin. I'm sure you already know about the Awoken. I don't like what the folks there are doing, not one bit, but I can't blame them. They struggle, and they don't know how to protect their kids, their elders. Orentius, their priest, she cracks her shoulders. A quiet man, but preaches like a zealot. Always looks like he's on the verge of crying. She opens the door with a wave of her hand, letting in some fresh air. She looks at the lake. They used to trade in lumber, those from marshes, until Howler's Dell started selling their own trees for better prices. The trade to marshes died, and so came the hunger. She looks at you with an unclear grimace on her lips. You may judge them, but at least their preacher gave them hope, even if it's tied to black magic. So remember, she's the one who can, like, stir the stew with her, like, stir the ladle with her magic, or, like, open and close doors with her magic. Pretty cool character. Will she buy anything from us? No, I'm gonna keep that. I need to buy something. Fresh meals. Yeah, she's cool. 4 meals bought in advance. Let's buy meals. And then also, I'm not gonna buy the scraps yet, because I think there might be other things that might be more helpful. Not that I know for sure. I'd like to eat. There we go. Want me to do anything else? Very much so. I have a message to Eason, I guess, the innkeeper of Pelt to the north. His place is in the far south. A huge bother for us to get there. A bother worth, let's say, 3 dragons. She sits down on a stool and looks you in the eyes. The scars and wrinkles on her thoughtful face could belong to a statue. Tell him, are we still trading? I'm running out of patience. Remember it well, Bring me the answer. Only then you'll get paid. Maybe better to tell me what it's all about. She frowns. I don't ask you to negotiate in my name, though I guess it won't hurt to tell you. Eason and I were thinking about working together. He'd invest in my place and would get his share of profits in the future, and a shelter for his hunters. He was meant to send me the first pouch of dragons, but has fallen silent. I want to know where we stand. I'll do it. Time for me to go. 3 hours left. Let's go up to Creeks. Illa and Ephron are on the bridge discussing something as they look at the flowing, clear stream. They welcome you politely and ask about your day. I have some good news for you. I helped the boys from Foggy's catch a large bird that will soon be brought here. While you try to stay up to the point, Ephron is full of energy. He asks about every detail, from the animal's size to the way it acted in combat. Your brief answers are met with shouts, echoed by the silent bounces of the wolf's head. That's right, he's got a wolf's head on his head. It was a brave venture. I'm glad they didn't try it without you. Ella gestures for the hunter to drop it. Thank you for giving us time to prepare. I was also told to ask for 1 dragon bone. Nice. Aye, of course. The carpenter looks around. Pay for the messenger. Just give me a minute. He scurries away as quickly as his thick legs allow him. We don't carry dragons with us, the hunter explains. So how large is the beak? Something like this? He demonstrates the size with his hands, and for another few minutes showers you with questions. Finally, the dragon bone finds its place in your hand. I'll get to preparations soon, concludes Zayla, gasping for air and leaning against the railing, while Ephron lopes away, apparently to prepare the animal pen, as there's no time to waste. The carpenter invites you to follow him to his working station. I don't know what I just did there. Oh, right-click opens the journal. That's good to know. Old Pagos is suffering from a plague. That village is isolating itself from outsiders. He freezes, puts away his tools, and looks at you with wide eyes. Wait for a bit, will you? Without waiting for your response, he springs up and knocks down a few planks as he lurches away, asking his neighbors to call the entire tribe. People surround you, asking what's going on, and once the news spreads, you answer dozens of questions, though most of what you have to say could be summed up with, "I'm not sure." Aside from the worried faces, there are also more pragmatic ones. Hunters mention that they won't be able to deliver their autumn pelts, while one of the farmers wonders about her cousin. "She was always so pious," she says with an accent you remember from old Pagos. "May the right reward her prayers, or else." After some time, the crowd pays you little attention, and Ella leads you back to his workshop. "They and I will discuss this later," he says with an absent voice, then sits down and glances at his neighbors. "I'd like to place this rod somewhere high. It belongs to Eudocia the Enchantress." He grabs the rod and looks at it with caution. "I wouldn't call her our friend, exactly. You'd do better selling this," swinging it left and right like a club. He tells you to wait. "It can't just be my decision. I'm going to ask the others, at least a few of them." You rest at a table and observe how the man approaches various souls and exchanges a few words with them. It takes him so long you manage to get bored enough to indulge a little girl who'd like to pet Nagy. Well, who wouldn't? The man returns and gives you the rod back. "While my tribe is far from convinced," he wipes the sweat off his forehead, "we'd rather stay away from it." Damn it. Do it. Do it. There's been a lot of really good music. Man. Be serious now, Ella. I need to know what happened to Asterion. He springs up, still holding his tools and demonstrating his threatening physique, and raises his voice. "I am serious. I don't know." He looks behind him and even takes a step back, but with every few gestures, his breath gets a bit slower. "He said there's something of great value hidden in the wilderness, Roadwarden. A treasure, I think. And that treasure would change the North." He rubs his forearms, but there's still tension on his shell. "He needed help we couldn't give him, and told us to prepare for Glaucia and her bandits to come for supplies. He paid for them up front, but she never came, and neither did he." When he sits down again, he doesn't look at you. "I never saw him like that before. He was tired and worried, friend." His words lacked confidence. It may very well be that something caught him, but we weren't a part of this. Now please, let me be. "Very well." Nagy is enjoying the cold stream and green grass to graze on and welcomes you with a nicker. "I looked at Ephraim the Hunter. Can I bathe in this creek?" Let's jump in. Our appearance is slightly better. We need somebody who can repair our... If they don't want to pet Nagy, I don't trust them. He's inside the House of Gatherings, comparing a few sharpened cudgels placed on one of the tables. As you get closer, he spares you a polite smile. "Good to see you in one piece, traveler." "About the hunters. Any good news?" "I'll tell you if I find anything." The farmer. She's carrying her stool between the fields, seeking a spot to sit down. She chooses a wild cabbage patch. Can we buy anything? A fish trap or a roast chicken? We're good on food. I want to save money for repairs. Seek shelter. Yeah, let's see if... Oh. Foggy Lake. Alright, let's go back. Sleep in the main hall. Sleep in the attic for one bone or 2 rations. That's all I have on rations. Let's rent a room in the attic. The rains once again hit the ground, interrupting your sleep. Another day of muddy roads. So when the roads are muddy, we travel more slowly. We can't go as far as fast. The days are getting shorter. Listening to the grunts of the annoyed Nagy makes you feel uneasy, but at least the furs covering the floor are helping you relax. You don't even notice when it's already morning, and while the smell coming from the lower floor is not inviting, at least it's not you who has to take care of it. Foggy smiles at you. I don't know if we want to eat yet. Time for me to go. Travel. Let's try going this way. You follow the road spread between the hills and lonely trees until you reach a solid wooden bridge not older than a generation. You ride uphill, but Nagy manages to keep up. The dark woods in the south are behind a gently humming creek, while the forest on your right was trimmed by the locals. It's a peaceful journey, at least for some time. After a few minutes, you spot a group of wolves feasting on a fallen furry beast. Maybe a wisent. One of them looks toward you. We ride a bit faster. The road fades into an old tunnel. There are no signs of mining, no signposts, no human voices. The ceiling is supported by wooden beams, but the light only reaches so far. The chilling wind mercilessly bends the few lonely trees while the shrubs oppose the weather patiently. The side path leading west is somewhat maintained, and you find both boot prints and cart tracks. It leads higher into the mountains. Ooh, let's place the bronze rod. You find the perfect spot, a small crack between two massive rocks. You use the rod to broaden it just a bit, then push it halfway in and fill the gaps with a rag. I dust off my hands. So we need to place one more and we'll be able to get our first reward. And then we can place 4 more for like full bars. Map wide. Let's look in the tunnel. Your mount observes the area anxiously, so you stay for a moment to give it a good scratch under his neck and say some confident-sounding rubbish. You unpack all the things you need to make a new, simple torch, a log, some old rugs, a bit of oil. You grab your tinderbox and sit on the ground for a couple minutes, preparing the flint and the linen char cloth. Decades ago, before the southern invasion, people used fire strikers made of thick steel, but all you have is a cube-like piece of harsh pyrite. It's not the best, but it's enough to make a couple of sparks. The loud flickering yellow light unevenly hits your cheek with heat. You raise the torch, but hold it at an angle, letting the oil drip on the ground. Let's see where the tunnel leads. For a few minutes, you follow a fairly straight corridor. I'm going to save, actually. The timber supporting the ceiling is decaying, but you don't spot any signs of collapse. The floor is littered with bones and rotting food, most likely dragged in here by wild beasts. But there are also signs of soot above you and boot prints left on the dried mud. You reach the crossroads and stop in place. There's no sconce in sight, so you'd have to constantly carry the torch or lose it for good, and it won't last for long anyway. The draft is hardly noticeable, so looking for an exit in the dark could be dangerous. Oh, can I use my magic to make light? The simple magic trick should give me enough light. Let's do it. You lean the torch against the wall, letting it mark this spot. Then draw both your axe and one of your oldest amulets, a pendant made of leather and a single dim pearl. The little sphere is covered by cryptic engravings, but if there's any special meaning behind them, you've never been able to find out what that could be. You bite into the strap, sense the pleasant, familiar warmth, then press the blade with your open palms. After a minute of repeating the simple incantation, the pearl and your weapon start to glow. Okay, here we go. White, yellow, red, blue, green, or purple. What are we feeling? Perp. It covers the walls with a pulsating, uneasy light. Its rhythm and strength keep changing, and you feel tingling in your fingers. Your lips catch a rotten aftertaste, so you surround the pendant with a cloth, then put it back in your satchel. I go deeper. The road ahead is like the one you just crossed, a human-carved, straight corridor supported with beams, while the other paths are curved and narrow. The only light comes from the exit, minutes away from here. Oh shit, okay. I look around. The remains of prey and fruit are rotting, but get sparser the deeper you enter the tunnel. The moist walls are shining as if they're made of an ore unknown to human tribes. You observe the dried trails. The ones left by boots lead toward both corridors. The path to your right also has marks left by hooves and wheels. Some of the fresher trails leading deeper into the tunnel resemble human souls, but deformed, lacking skin between their toes. I move forward. Let's go right. The corridor is unlike the others, taller and more rounded, with claw marks on the walls. It leads you to a chamber with a ceiling supported by a single beam. There's also an abandoned cart, the fence of an animal pen, and a few long sticks and planks. You take a glance at the new exit. It leads slightly upward and looks a bit like stairs. Yeah, that's a bit odd. I search the room. You find no caches or boxes, and the cart is empty. The one thing that draws your attention are the planks and logs themselves. They're in decent shape, flexible, though too moist to be worth carrying out of the cave. They could be turned into a new door, or maybe a table. What's up the stairs? You flinch after the light touches the resting bone, but nothing tries to jump at you, and you hear no shuffling feet. You step forward and take a closer look at the remains of the massive creature. It used to be 2 times as long as your palfrey, 3 if you were to count the hind limbs. It resembles a bear, but its skull has no sharp teeth and is of a different shape. Take a closer look at the skeleton. Well, the sound cut out there. That was weird. Okay. The ribs of the creature are as long as your own trunk, though the age makes them brittle. You observe the long legs, horse-like head, and the massive stomach. You can't tell if you've ever seen such a beast alive, but surely not its trophies. A part that's uniquely sharp are the creature's claws. They could pierce 2 sides of your skull at once, as curved as a war pick and as heavy as an axe, and the marks on the walls perfectly match them. While impressive, they're too old and awkward to be turned into tools. I was thinking, like, we'd be able to make a weapon out of this, and that would have been fucking badass. I'll go back to the large skeleton. Leave the chamber, leave the chamber. Let's try... Wait, animal pen. Okay. Let's try going left. The air in the chamber is humid. The straw beds are covered with mold. The sagging racks are bending under their own weight, and the animal pelts on the floor release a terrible stench. I know, I was hoping to get, like, Bloodborne-style beast claws. Let's search the room carefully. Bone ring. Using an old walking stick, you push the furs and mattresses aside, and you spare your gloves from touching the sticky odds and ends by wrapping them with a cloth. You find only one thing of value, hidden in a rare, dry bowl pushed to the side of a shelf. A tiny ring made of bone. Not a coin, but a piece of jewelry. Still elegant, with a distinguished carving of a fish on its top, and scales on its side. I wonder if Foggy would want that. Leave the chamber. Let's move forward. You forge ahead for another few long minutes, no longer able to see the light from the exit. You'd need to stand on someone's shoulders to touch the ceiling. So far, you could ride through the tunnel without getting out of the saddle. A sound of a stream is reaching you from ahead. This time, there are no side paths. Let's examine. You spend a few minutes walking back and forth. Here, the wooden support is denser, with more beams both on the walls and on the ceiling. The trash, on the other hand, is sparse, and you find nothing of use. The animal trails turn back to the entrance, with the exception of the human-like bony prints. Let's move forward. The stream has formed a wide pond. You stab it in a few spots, but it turns out to be only a finger or 2 deep. There's no sign of a bridge. I crouch and take a closer look at the water. It's clean, but the dark rocks and lack of light camouflage its soft, sand-like bed. You find a few fish bones and other remains, but with every step you disturb the sediment, further clouding the water. The water flows from your right to the left. Its trail is wide enough to follow, at least for a few steps, and so tall you can do so without crouching. Let's follow the water. Cave ear mushroom. Let's eat it immediately. The corridors become less spacious after just a few steps, but you manage to take a good look around, moving both with and against the flow. The wet walls are home to worms, mold, and what looks like pale spiders, though with only 6 legs. Among the commotion, you spot a cave ear sticking out of the wall. A familiar, though unfriendly mushroom, the creamy color distorted by your light. You grab your knife and cut away what seems like the least bug-infested chunk, and after wrapping it with a linen sheet, you wash your hands. The cave ear is used by some fighters to enhance their senses in combat. You may want to take it to an alchemist. Lane. Eat it, eat it. We'll eat it when we're gonna take it to we'll take it to an alchemist. Do we know an alchemist? Is I don't know if that's technically alchemy. Let's move forward. The open door to your right leads to a narrow corridor. You take a look forward. You take a look further down the tunnel. A cave-in broke the timber, blocking the path forward. I take a closer look at the cave-in. You push away a few rocks, making them roll on the floor, but the blockade is at least a few steps deep. It would take an entire team of diggers to get through, if it's possible at all. You climb up a bit and peek through a larger hole, close to the ceiling. There's a weak light coming from the distant end of the tunnel, so we might need like those automatons to help us. I walk through the door. What door? It squeaks. The corridor resembles the interiors of a fortress with flat, regular walls and a ceiling so low you couldn't ride through it. You reach another, much larger chamber, which seems to mimic the corridor's style. I enter it. The spoiled food and moldy planks make you hold your breath. The chamber used to serve as a dining spot, with tables, chairs, shelves for mugs, and barrels of drinks, but all that's left are worms and mustiness. You don't see the furthest wall until you bring your light closer. The open door leads to a new, natural cavern. Another closed door is in the corner of the room, opposite the one you came from. We'll eat it when we're good and ready. Stu, thank you for being here, man. Have a lovely night. Hope you have some good chill sleepiness. Thank you for the shout out for Stu, Rachel. I appreciate that very much. All our best to Jen and the boys, Stu. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Hope you have a great morning off tomorrow, my friend. Thank you, Stu. I think searching as we go has been working for us. We searched the chamber. A small iron key. The place was abandoned in haste, but you find no signs of large creatures, bones, or destruction. The wood gives way only to time. A few of the barrels still contain liquids, though you wouldn't dare open them. Close to the exit leading to a cave, you find a hook with a simple iron key. You pick it up, and it stains your hand with rust. I walk through the open door. I'm a little worried about there being like a bunch of animated skeletons in here or something. The cave is so moist that the diggers placed planks on the ground, serving as now useless bridge through the puddles. The rocks, shaped like icicles, ominously hang from the ceilings, and some spots merging with their on-the-floor counterparts and forming hourglass-like columns. Let's search. You leave the rotten planks and explore the cavern carefully, making the light dance on the droplets and puddles, but you find nothing of use or value. Let's try to open the door, I guess. The door opens quietly, and you return to the main tunnel. You could turn south again and see if there's anything you missed, but after you blink a few times, you realize there's a light at the end of the tunnel, far ahead. It's weak and flickers like a torch. Let's go south. You reach the other side of the cave-in, getting a good view at its size. You find a new door here. It's a bit tilted, closed, and soggy. Let's try to open it. The small iron padlock won't budge. Let's try the key. After a bit of wiggling, the padlock gives in. The door lets out a quiet sigh, and you enter a humble cave that's been turned into a storeroom. Your light reveals crates, a pile of timber, a stack of rocks, and another of bricks. Let's search. You move the building materials aside, taking note of the somewhat dry timber, but the first thing of use you find are the tools stored in one of the crates. The crude axes, hammers, chisels, pickaxes, and digging bars are all old and made of rocks, antlers, and bones. Though they're worthless, you move a few of them closer to the tunnel. If necessary, you know where to find them. Okay. Storeroom. I don't know why we would want to hide our light in here. Let's move closer. Still carrying your light, you move forward carefully. You pay attention to sounds and movements, but there's no crackling of a campfire, no wandering or chatter. You see a shape of a gate, far in the distance. I look for anything unusual. You look down, and just in time, there's a cord stretched right above the ground. In a few spots, holding pieces of wood and bone that are meant to make a sound if disturbed. You crouch and carefully cut it, putting the remains of the trap on the floor. Where's our sense of adventure? Yeah, no, Skanda, I get why, but I meant like we'd not be able to see anything, you know? Like I get why, but I guess I mean like I don't get why we would do that in this. I don't know. I phrased it weird. Especially since we wouldn't have been able to see that trap. No, you're good. I mean, all we have to work on is the text, so I try to get close enough to see who's responsible for the light. You get close enough to recognize more distinctive shapes in the shadows, but your own light also draws attention. The one at the end of the tunnel draws near, followed by a few human-like figures. Yeah, maybe we should have extinguished the light. But we wouldn't have been able to see the trap, so I don't know. I take a few steps back and try to see who I'm dealing with. The creatures don't shout or wail, and neither make threatening gestures nor cast angry glances. You hear only the rattle of their bones as they hit against the rocky floor. The empty eye sockets of the naked skulls reveal nothing. The 4 skeletons wear a few rags, and 2 of them still have scraps of flesh on their limbs. Their weapons are unconvincing, simple digging tools and spears tipped with rocks. But you notice the speed and confidence of their movement. The one in the back is holding a wooden lantern while another one is carrying a fresh torch, but the group doesn't pay much attention to their steps. Let's see. Yeah, I guessed because of the footprints. I reach for my wand. Depending on the undead's movements and how much time and space it has to dodge, it may be difficult to land a perfect spell. The undead are getting closer. Let's try it. You reach for the willow wand and dash forward, casting the pneumo with a single swipe. It feels like stabbing the air with a wooden dagger. Your target almost dodges the invisible wave. The undead leans away for a few moments, and after it straightens up again, it runs after you despite its broken rib. Whoops. Alright, let's just try. Oh, we're dead. We died. We haven't died before. That's our first death. Both you and the skeletons have the time to take a proper stance, filling the chambers with thuds of your boots and bones, with or without flesh. Your target blocks and dodges, making you fight as if you're facing a human, not a bloodthirsty beast. You struggle to land any hit, with the weight of your axe hardly compensating for all the parrying, darkness, and rattling. A powerful blow reaches your back, sending you to the ground, where you take a kick in your cheek. You crawl away, but the thin fingers are already on your neck. Leto's soul has left its shell. Let's see. Let's see. simply put it on the ground in the entrance to the cavern with the stalactites. You'll pick it up if you need it. Okay. But will this... Okay, I look for anything unusual. Okay. So we disarmed the trap without the light in our hand. Now we'll go look closer. Slowly but surely you reach the edge of the light. But don't dare to get any closer. The distinctive shadows belong to unmoving, human-like shadows that have no flesh on their necks and chests, only bones. You move back. There may be 3 undead there, if not more. You could prepare some surprises in the tunnel to slow them down or even weaken them, but who knows how easy it would be to outsmart them. I better speak with someone who knows how to set traps. Okay, move to a safer position. I cut my hands around my mouth and let out a shout. Why would we do that? Nagy snorts from boredom, then paws the ground. Okay. For funsies? Okay, well now I want to. Oh, whoops, okay. The detour is not as smooth as the main road. A wagon could make it through. Wait, I have my, I still have my wand, right? Carla, please. I know. I'm hoping I picked my wand back up. Even though it doesn't look like I do have it. The detour is not as smooth as the main road. A wagon could make it through, but even so, you have to squeeze between some narrow corridors, hoping no beast is going to jump at you from a ledge. You walk, leading your mount with an axe in your hand. In the middle of the road, after reaching one of the higher hills, you take a glance ahead. Even from here, you see the sun reflecting from the ocean, but there's also a pillar of smoke coming from the distant west. There may be a volcano somewhere behind the horizon, but you can't tell if it's a part of the peninsula, or maybe a yet stranger land. Once you get to the other side of the mountain, you find the northern entrance to the tunnel, blocked by a large bronze gate, so tall and wide you're not sure if it's something you could open with your muscles alone. There's a keyhole as well, as large as your hand. Unlocking the tunnel would save me a lot of time. As far as no soul tried to steal the door yet, or maybe someone tried but failed. You get a good look at the village from a distant hill. It's torn between taming the crags and succumbing to their whims. The gray boulders are like the rotting teeth of a giant, sprinkled around by an ancient spirit. The carved cave mouths are covered with wooden doors. There are only a few windows, and you can only imagine how dark the cold the gouged-out rooms have to be. The buildings and walls, made of logs or stone blocks, must be much younger than the caves. The impressive, whitewashed keep, standing on the top of the hill in the west, could just as well have been built in the city. Smoke rises from both sides of the wild river. You see many busy souls as they go about moving tools, food, and timber over the bridge. Your arrival at the eastern gate causes some curious glances, but the only person who approaches you is a man who is sitting at a table, discussing something with a few elders. He's carrying a crossbow on his back and a long, rusty knife at his side, but doesn't reach for them. It must be a guard. I dismount. The man has to be older than 40. He wears an elegant blue-green linen tunic, but no armor. His skin is yellowish, like seaweed seen through a sunbeam. His long gray hair is tied in a ponytail, and his beard is trimmed to half a finger of length. A few large cysts make him look sickly, but his powerful, truculent voice adds to him strength and confidence. "Cheers, stranger. You've reached Gale Rocks, you did." He observes your mount, then looks at the path behind you. "I see no caravan from here. Are they coming?" He suddenly meets your eyes, and his tone gets even harsher. "Or are you here to idle about?" So do I, Skanda. The writing's been really good, and it's like great because this game obviously leans on the writing a ton to do a lot of the work. It was perfect. Yeah, I really liked that. I mean, if you're gonna have a game with this much writing in it and it's not spectacular, it's gonna suffer. I listened to the nearby conversations. You have to get used to some of the local words and phrases that you've only heard coming from the mouths of the oldest city folk. The vast similarities to the tongue of Havlavan only make these differences more distracting. Let's definitely be friendly. Don't worry, friend, I have things to do, and I won't bother anyone. He takes a step closer and examines your appearance until he raises his chin with reluctance. And who are you? A vagabond? If you're not part of a caravan, I'm not letting you in. Neither here. He points behind him. Nor there. He nods toward the western gate. I introduce myself. Another Roadwarden? Are all them parents in the south too dumb to teach their kids how to keep their fingers in their own pots? He shakes his head with exaggerated motions and looks at the elders at the table. A Roadwarden, see that? Trying to cut the conversation short, you tell Nagy to follow you inside, but you're stopped right away. Leave it by the walls until it's nightfall, right? We ain't cleaning our roads after any drifters, bards, or adventurers. He speaks with growing disgust. Don't worry, we'll keep an eye on it. You tether your horse to the stems of a shrub, and the man nods with approval, then turns around. Can you tell me anything about the village? He stops in place, then glances at your boots. Right. We fish, we salt fish, we sell fish. Our brave ones trade barrels for whatever we can get at other villages, but... He shrugs. Not much else to it, you see. Life here is slow. Without another word, he returns to the group of elders, where he helps one of them remove bones from their meal. You go to... Maybe there's some locals looking for a match in other villages. The gatekeeper, I'm looking for someone. Don't be too rambunctious. Good luck with that. Anybody looking for a girlfriend? While the vast majority of the locals see this place as their home and even feel indebted to their families and neighbors for looking after them, Paulus seeks a different path. He isn't even 20, but trained to work on the beach. He's strong, slim, and a bit loud. I can even hunt fish, if that's the only work left, he admits when asked about his plans for the future. Just not here. Not after all them neighbors turned a blind eye toward my harpy of a mother. He reveals the scars on his back, left by willow withies. You mention religion, and he shrugs without a second thought. I can do whatever, barring wicked spells. You make sure he means necromancy and blood magic. Right. All I want is a companion for the mornings and evenings. A woman with a kind soul. And if good winds allow us, to be the mother of our children. I'm ready to work for them till I faint. He flexes his muscles. I'd gauge my arm for that. Marina is a few years older, but much shorter, pale, and with dark circles under her eyes. While she hopes to find a wife or a husband, she won't leave the village. I have a 6-year-old. His father went into the fogs on a foraging trip. I'd love to have more kids, but my forebears have been living in this village for longer than anyone can tell, but I'd rather not make our blood too thick. You ask about what sort of traits she's looking for. Someone kind, loyal, serious, and diligent, no matter if they're a water carrier or an artisan. My own back is weak, it is, suffers after standing for long hours. I help with fishing, fish smoking, cleaning, foraging, whatever there is to do. When asked about her convictions, she looks at you as if the question is beyond absurd. I won't lie with a lad or lass that's a stranger to Right's teachings. Okay, so she's religious. Rachel, have a good night. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you got to catch 2 streams today. Lots of love to you. I hope you have a lovely, lovely evening. See if I can give Rachel a shout out here. Paulus what I've learned about Timo from Howlers. I tell Marina what I've learned about Shoshi from Creeks. I look for someone else. Of course, Rachel. I hope you have a lovely, lovely night. Thank you again for hanging out. Glad today was a little bit better than yesterday. Matchmaking. The youths of the peninsula could use some help with starting families at other settlements. I can ask around, learn if anyone seeks a match for the approaching spring. Timo from Howler's Dell looks for a hard-working man who'd like to marry her according to the traditions of her ancestors, then either move in with her or take her to a new home. So Timo sounds like she'd be great for that dude. Paulus. He wants to work hard, doesn't have to stay here. Doesn't want to stay here. Yeah, so Paulus and Timo, and then Marina and Shoshi. Would that make sense? Yeah, this is one of the quests, is matchmaking. Marina from Gale Rock seeks someone willing to move in with her and her son, but only wants somebody who's a follower of the right. Shoshi from Creeks looks for a safe, slow life with a woman who lives in another village and is interested in keeping their relationship open. So, Marina, are you cool with things being potentially poly? I don't think Marina would be. That's just my kind of hint. But I think Paulus and Timo would be great for each other. He asks you a few additional questions, some of which are centered around Timo's face and figure and spoken with embarrassment, and flashes you a wide smile. Right? She sounds dreamy. If she's in, I'm in. Let me know what she thinks about me. I think we're gonna look for somebody else. A few young workers burst into laughter as one of them curls up in pain, holding her hurt thumb. I don't know if Marina... I wonder if that's the only option. Oh, she didn't get an entry here. The guard you met when you first arrived at the village is leaning against the wall, observing both the gates and your mount. Whenever Nagy snorts, the gatekeeper reaches for his axe. He sighs when he notices your gaze. What? I encountered undead in the tunnel south from here. Right, they almost got my wife, they did. When she tried to check out the locked passage, we stay away from there, but talk to our digger. She's there with her toys. He steps away from the wall and looks at the nearest table, where an elderly woman is putting together a humble structure from wooden building blocks. In most settlements, people are much more hospitable. He gives you an irritated glance, then stares into the river. Most settlements have fewer memories of getting robbed by drifters, or of wasting their time on good-for-nothing adventurers. All them free souls think they have the right to our patience and care, as if they're some saviors of ours, each one of them. Well, we've been beating this land for centuries with right's help and the patience of our forebears, and if anyone wants our respect, they'd better work for it. When you notice that getting away with theft must not be an easy task, he answers slowly. Don't get any weird ideas, outsider. It's easy to disappear in the hills or at the crossroads. We've got to be vigilant, more than our allies, the stone cutters at Old Pagos. They can let themselves be more open to strangers. They have neighbors, gentler roads, and less of a wall to defend. Have you heard about the plague that has fallen upon Old Pagos? The plague? His voice is close to a shout, and a few people glance toward the two of you. The guard grows pale. Better take it to our head woman, Warden. We were planning trade with them, we were. Have you been bothered by bandits in recent seasons? What do you mean, bandits? That useless group of soldiers already faced them half a year ago. Ain't you heard in Havlavon? They killed and got killed. He shrugs as if there's nothing more to add. But you try to push him harder, sharing some of the gathered rumors. Glaucia and her group. You're wrong. She's from here. She wouldn't bother us, or our neighbors. She's just one of the lost free folk. Couldn't force herself to come back here after. The events that can't be changed now. She's just hunting for treasures in the ruins, trading. That's where she gets her stuff and coins. Yes, we've all heard about the plague. Like a blacksmith? Or, either don't find them or I can't understand you. Or someone else. Armorer? The outer armory is right next to the eastern gate, but you are led behind it through a fence gate to the training ground. You are introduced to Tacius, a muscular man who's walking in just his pants, displaying his muscular chest and arms, tanned and hairy, and his dusty, dirty feet. His teenage pupils gathered on the trampled ground also wear no boots and wear old, torn tunics with marks of blood and scratches both on their clothes and skin. Gross. The man is looking through a few toy weapons gathered in a barrel, a wooden sword, a few spears with their tips wrapped in rags, and similar-looking clubs. After your arrival, the man throws a spear to one of the younger kids, tells the others to get to him like mad boars. Soon after that, you hear a painful thud and cheerful laughter. He then offers you vivid red cherries, maybe the last ones this season. He may be just over 30 years old, yet his wide shoulders, unusual height, and straight posture make even his kindest words sound like a threat. You need something from me, Roadwarden? I'm looking for better equipment. Then you came to the wrong village. We don't sell anything. We've stored at our armory. We need these things for ourselves. When you mention dragon bones, he looks away at the fighting kids and orders them to divide into 2 teams, letting the assaulted spearmen rest for a bit. Then what am I to do with dragons? Buy blades. His chuckle, while fake, is loud and moves his chest up and down. After you insist that he may want to think if there's nothing for an axe user such as yourself to find here, he puffs out his cheeks, thinking as he exhales. You know what? Come take a look. And you, he looks at the teens. A few minutes of rest. Don't lose any eyes. You go back to the armory's door, and after a few breaths, the man shows you a kite shield, so large it could cover half your shell with ease. It's a gift we received, but we don't use such a shape. It's too weird for us. You can buy it if you wish, or maybe you'd like to grab some quarrels if you have a crossbow. We have enough of those. A shield might be a good call. A shield, but I'm not used to using it in combat. Should we buy this shield? I'm not going to buy those because we don't even have a crossbow. Let's buy the shield. Aside from what I've shown you, we need everything we have. The shouted commands of overseers make you look around anxiously. I don't know, like I'm looking for someone who can repair, like fix my gambeson. Should this isn't a person, it's a thing, yeah. I don't know what to call it. I could still learn more about the wares, like merchant. A young carrier chuckles. And what would you buy? Without a wagon and donkeys. We sell barrels of fish, sacks of salt. When a caravan comes, we empty a warehouse, then fill it up again with food. When you ask her if she's sure there's nothing useful that a lone traveler could get in such a large village, she seems a bit embarrassed. Well, we have a weaponsmith, but he doesn't sell any blades to outsiders. Maybe the tailor, that's who I want. Rufina, the tailor. You get directions to one of the smaller buildings, which turns out to consist of only one spacious chamber. Like other caves in the village, it lacks sunlight, but the workbench standing right next to the entrance is well lit by an oil lamp. The old iron lantern is decorated with the shapes of seaweed and monstrous tentacles. On the counter, you see threads, scraps of cloths, scraps of clothes, old tunics, and some boots. Behind it, there's a mature woman, though you can't precisely guess her age. The flame, dancing because of your movements, distorts the shadows cast by her wrinkles and large nose. Her bright red tunic is light, made of something lighter than hemp or wool. The sleeves end at her elbows, allowing her hands to sew together two pieces of fabric. What's the things made of? That would have been like the leather smith or something. I don't know, but I think we found what we needed. Yeah, new trader unlocked. She runs her dark yellow eyes over your clothes. Her hair may be getting gray, but the colorful wooden beads among them distract you right away. Cheers, stranger. You need something patched up? After you nod, she looks deeper into the store. Good, as I'm better at fixing tears than making togs. Take a look. Indeed, while there's plenty of shelves and cupboards covered with pants, tunics, jackets, robes, hats, boots, and bags, many of them seem old or made from 2 or 3 combined pieces of garment. We buy outfits from other villages, explains the tailor, maintaining her bored tone, and as they get worn and damaged, I turn them into something new. Do you have anything for sale? My neighbors walk in and put on whatever they feel like wearing, but I ain't wasting our fabric on outsiders. Maybe you'd like some jewelry. When you mention you'd rather take something useful for a traveler, she hesitates. Well, if you really need, I can pack you some old tools of mine. They'd help you fix your armor and togs without anyone's help, though it ain't easy as you would think. Oh, that could be cool, like a... Oh shit, I need all... Oh, 8? So I'm gonna do the Gambeson repairs. I might do all of it. I might do both of these, and that's all of our gold, but like we need that. But it would be so cool to be able to fix our own clothes. This bone ring looks like something from here. She moves it to the light, widens her eyes, and speaks with melancholy. I made it myself, I did, as a little lass, for someone who used to be madly in love, but is now taken by the storms. He was better at digging than sailing. She puts the ring on the counter. His wife is still around, though. Leave it with me for 2 coins. It will mean a lot to her. Save money in the long run. Well, we needed the repair, because our armor was totally broken. And our appearance was wrecked, and people like don't trust you as much if you look like shit. Kind of like real life. Oh, I see. Yeah. Sorry, I misread you. Should we leave this? Yeah, it was, but we couldn't afford it. Now, I see you're saying we would save money in the long run, of course, if we could repair our own stuff. But it was 8 dragon bones to buy the kit that allows us to do that, and we only had 3, so I chose to repair. Yeah. Well, I would definitely want that, though. I mean, I guess we might as well let her have it. Like, I don't know... Yeah, we'll let her have it. We sold it. Much appreciated. She takes out 2 dragon bones from a box that's indistinguishable from the one with fasteners, then leaves your ring on the counter. What can you do for me? Oh, she can repair it further. Sewing kit. I think so, yeah, I think you're right. I'm gonna repair one more time. Could still learn more. A bunch of kids laugh loudly as they carry buckets of vegetables over the stone bridge, calling someone who may very well be minutes away from them. Pius and Marina are still looking for a match. Oh, that's right, okay. So is this... I tell Marina what I've learned about Shoshi from Creeks. I'm still not sure about this. Marina from Gale Rock seeks someone willing to move in with her and her son, but they need to be one of the Wrights followers. Shoshi looks for a safe, slow life with a woman who lives in another village and is interested in keeping their relationship open. It's just like these two things don't seem to match for me, and I don't know if it's like me bringing my own like real world bias onto this fictional like person, but like saying like they need to be of my religion here, and then this person saying like but they need to be cool with like it being open. It just seems like I might find somebody else, so I think I'm just gonna like leave that one there. The other one seemed to match up like perfectly, so I'm good with that. But yeah, it's hard to tell if I'm just like discriminating against this religious person, but they probably earned it. I don't know like who else to look for. Like, oh, is there an alchemist? Since the village has no forest garden. Oh, hey, Jess. Jess is here. Thank you for the raid, Jess. Welcome in, raiders. How's your music stream? I believe I saw you were gonna make some Elden Ring style music, is that right? That's fair enough, Jess. Or, Jill, you're right. It was a muddy mess, but sorta worked. That's pretty good. We're in a bit of a muddy mess ourselves. Actually, we've bathed a little bit, so we're less of a muddy mess. Yeah, we're doing all right. We're playing some more Roadwarden. Of course, happy to shout. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, we're just playing some more Roadwarden. I might be wrapping this up soon. Might be playing something else for a little bit. But I'm not sure what yet. But welcome in, everybody. Hope you enjoy the chill. Since the village has no forest garden and almost no foragers, there is no local tradition of potion making. You're told to ask Foggy about her own alchemy set, which she uses to brew ciders and distill hard drinks. I forgot that Foggy could do that. Is there like an innkeeper? No. Your search for an inn is futile, and the locals are quite proud that they have no place to waste their days with mugs and dice. They explain that if any caravan needs to stay the night, there's always enough space to empty one of the caves. If you need a room to spend the night, you're told Fulvia may have something. Okay, who's that? Is that the shopkeeper? Following the instructions, you reach a building with an entrance from the garden side. You step through the door leading into the mouth of the cave and call the person you were told to speak with, Fulvia, the roomkeeper. She comes to you from the half-dark corridor. She fits the description you heard, slightly round, partially because of the tunic and heavy pants hidden beneath the dark green robe. She looks like an eccentric city priest, what with the massive hourglass made of beautifully polished driftwood she wears, and the kerchief covering both her neck and hair. One feature that hasn't been mentioned by the locals are her eyes, gray, asymmetrical, partially closed and unfocused. Once she gets closer, she turns her head, gazing into the rock and pointing her left ear at you. Her steps are confident, and her hands keep touching the walls on both sides. She's old, wrinkled, and pale, but her voice remains strong. Your first instinct is to nod, only then realizing it won't really help you much. She repeats, "You smell of a horse. Room?" "Yes." No worries, Jess. Thank you again for the raid. Have a good lurk. Right. She simply walks down the corridor between the few humble chambers, some of which are inhabited by sleeping souls. After just a few steps, the light coming from the entrance helps you know more. You follow the sounds of boots and the smell of rosemary perfume, then suddenly hear a rock hitting something made of metal. The lit candle makes you sigh with relief. What color? After a quiet moment, she tries again. The horse coat. What does Nagy look like? I don't know that we know that. Black and white stripes. We ride a zebra. For some reason, I think it's Bay is the correct answer, but I don't remember. I mean, who wouldn't? Kira, welcome in. Let's say black. A pause. The grim messengers must not be many of them left, she says slowly. I doubt many chiefs can pick and choose one beast for one task and one for another. The room is far from comforting. The ceiling is only a head above you. The walls are rounded and bare of any decorations, and the only chest looks more like a crude crate. At least the dried grasses covering the sleeping powder bug-free and smell of freshness. You don't have to share it, she says with amusement. Yeah, maybe you're right, Jill. It has been that way, like, where you say things, like, makes them true. No worries, Kira. I hope it goes well. Thanks for saying hello. I appreciate the lurk. How much for this delight? She chuckles, still turned to you with her profile. Don't worry, you won't be cold. We don't let anything mold in here. I have a nose for it. She demonstrates with a loud sniff. You can work for the village for merely a few hours in the morning, move some weights around, or you can pay me 2 coins. I won't take less, for I need none at all. I'll just throw it to Severina's chest in a few days. I have nothing to say to her. Hey, Isboric, welcome in. So yeah, I'll do the work in the morning for a place to stay. Oh, but I can't. Okay, leave the cave. The smell of smoke, baked fish and cut herbs makes you more nauseated than hungry. I don't know who else to look for. So let's wait till nighttime and then sleep. And we'll use our labor. After Fulvia blows out the candles, without considering if you're ready for it, you're in complete darkness, and you only now realize how quiet this room is. The thick walls block the humming of the wind, birds, and the river. The keeper heads to her own room, and you only occasionally hear the whispers or snores of other dwellers. My imagination sculpts terrifying creatures in the darkness, and it takes me a while before I calm down. I grow anxious as I focus on my breath and on the beating of my heart. I hold onto my dagger and focus on the touch of my blanket. Finally, some peace. You wake up surrounded by darkness. The keeper is sitting outside next to the open door. The fishers are getting ready, they are. Go ask someone where you can load the wagons, she says slowly, as if you're meant to repeat these exact words. You're freed from your duties after a few hours' work before you get a backache. You sit on a bench. Some of the locals slow down to observe you, but whenever you meet their eyes, you find a challenge, not amity. The pillars of smoke start to rise above the buildings. Many of the workers have already left the village. The remaining adults are either outside, carrying timber, food, or other wares, or in their workshops, the largest of which are open air. The sounds of work muffle the conversations, so you mostly hear the shouts of children and overseers. I still haven't found a way to drop a... was it bronze or brass? I always mix those up. Bronze. A bronze rod here. I don't know if I can. Is there a mayor? A young basket weaver with legs too short and thin for her to stand on scoffs at your question. You don't even know her name? Or that we call her a head woman? Like all them outsiders, you know nothing of our customs, yet think you can bother us. Before you respond, she looks at the white building on the hill. She's in the keep. Scat. You head to the western bank and walk past the big kitchen. The steep path leads through an open, unguarded gate. As you look around the yard, you notice a few pigeons running around, keenly observed by a pet griffin tied to a wooden beam, some drying underwear hanging from a rope, a spiked flail leaning against the wall carelessly, and a knocked-over bucket lying in a puddle of water. The place may be messy, but is not impaired in its function. Repairing it for defense wouldn't take longer than a few minutes, and judging by the wall walk of the bailey, it could stand an attack from a large squad of soldiers. The current state of the place makes you think of Havavan, whose stronghold yards and temple walls are often surrounded by small peddlers, a few of which are even allowed to set up their stalls. As long as they don't hinder anyone else's tasks, they are allowed to pursue the scarce scraps of open space. The first two, I thought you might say that, Lane. I look at the keep. The bright walls stand out from the other structures in the village, and as far as you can tell, the current layer of whitewash is still fresh. There must be at least 3 floors inside, enough space to contain more than 100 people, though without much between them. There are arrow slits in the walls, and the roof is surrounded by a fence-like barrier, a perfect spot for boulder throwers and archers. The large entrance door is ajar, with a wrinkled man sitting on a pillow placed on the stairs. He's not wearing a gambeson, but the fine steel sickle sword at his side makes it clear he's not just a regular guard. He stops what he was doing, carving a figurine from a log, and stands up to greet you. "Cheers, Roadwarden. Severina was told about your arrival. Follow me." He may be old, but he's tall, with the long and thin arms of a sea folk, a neatly groomed beard, and his gray hair in a ponytail. As you follow him, you're hit by the strong scent of cloves. I wonder if this is the keep. The door is thick and can be barricaded with 2 wooden bars. The hall is filled with benches, some of which are placed on top of the others, giving a bit more space for now. There's one path to the next floor, suspiciously covered with planks. The chamber is free of the roaring of the river, the shouts of workers, the chaos of animals, or the smell of cooked food. The room is well lit both by sunlight and candles, and quite drafty, though you still smell perfumes and aging wood. You doubt anyone lives here, or even uses this room for dining. "The Roadwarden is here," says the guard, and approaches the desk, standing between you and the old woman sitting behind it. I take a closer look at her. So far, she hasn't spared you as much as a glance. She's writing on a large wax tablet, with a stylus as large as a dagger, and since she's a bit stooped, you see her only from the chest up. She's wearing a thick, warm dress in the color of a cherry, and an even darker, modest hat that's covering her hair. She could be older than 70, yet her face and hands have been spared from scars harsher than some pockmarks carved by illnesses. If you were to encounter her in Havavan, you would expect her to be an official, or maybe a rich scribe. Some of her belongings, however, wouldn't be found at the city's desks. The wax of her tablet isn't dyed. Instead of keeping water in a cup, she has a large, colorful seashell, and the winged hourglass placed on a stone stand is made of dried seaweed. Maybe she can interpret that tablet we have. I glance at the young woman who sits in the corner. Her crossbow is pointing at you. The resemblance between her and the elder is stunning, though she's slim and a bit taller, and wears a simple dark blue and black woolen tunic. While she's resting on a chair, she looks at you almost without blinking, with hardly any movement, like a cat staring at a rat, trying to judge if you're defenseless prey or a threat. Let's be friendly. "It's nice to meet you, Severina. I came here to see if your village needs any help from a Roadwarden." She raises her violet eyes, but only for a moment. "Where do you think you are, outsider? Some lost tribe, desperate for help from adventurers and vagabonds? Our village carries blood older than your city, it does, and we've endured hardships you couldn't imagine." Her accent is not as thick as that among the younger villagers, keeping a shadow of the years when the guild had tighter ties with the peninsula. But since she has no teeth, you have to think for a moment before you recognize some of her words. "Better tell me what you want from my people and scat." Her face shifts into indifference, and still holding her stylus, she once again bends over the tablet. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. The village of Old Pagos is struggling with a plague and isolates itself from trade and travelers. She looks at the perfumed man, who's standing with an open mouth. You glance at the crossbow woman, who has lowered her weapon. The head woman, still without a word, leans forward and rests her forehead on the back of her hand. Her guard tries to speak, but she looks at him with sorrow. "Let me think," she states, and after less than a minute tells him to gather the council once your meeting is over. I say nothing. She glances at the exit. I'd like to get inside the watchtower standing at the eastern road. Adam is here and has resubscribed for 20 months. Adam, it's very nice to see you. Thank you for the resub. I was lurking a bit in your stream earlier. It was nice to see you back. I hope that you had a good one. I know you were playing a Star War. Something different about me? Yeah, I'm borrowing the face Spice made for me. Very nice to have you here, Adam. Thank you again for the resub, man. I really appreciate that. Hope you're well, dude. That must be it. I'd like to get inside the watchtower standing at the eastern road. She and the perfumed guard exchange looks. Why would I give you a key? You mentioned that looking after roadside shelters is part of your responsibilities, and she smirks, raising her hand slightly. Ah, you don't say. We're not in Old Pagos. One's duty means nothing here until a soul proves they can be trusted. Thank you. Thank you. What are your thoughts about the necromancers in White Marshes? You almost jump away when the crossbow woman shifts her position, but she turns out to just be uncomfortable with the way she's sitting. Severina smirks, but as she starts to speak, her voice grows worried. What happens in White Marshes is a sign of cowardice and weakness. I've seen my share of harsh years, and I sympathize, I do, with tribes that had to feed their people with tree bark or decide whether mother will eat enough to feed infants. But all them walking corpses will get out of the charms and murder their masters like they always do, and instead of hunger and cold, they'll face the end of their souls. All we can do is keep ourselves safe. You try to ask a few more questions, but to no avail. We don't really travel there often, stranger, and some of the knowledge we gathered on this place is for our ears alone. She can't trust that I will keep anything between us. It's very cool, Adam. It's very well written. Oh, I thought I'd have more time to ask her stuff. My patience runs short, outsider. Severina gestures for you to pause. Are you sure other matters can't wait until tomorrow? There's something else we need to discuss. Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you more. Did the village face any struggles with bands? Spent a lot of time trying to work for me. Have you seen Asterion recently? He's also a Roadwarden. She shrugs and reaches for one of the candles, casting better light on one of her smaller wax tablets. I know who he is, but I've only spoken with him a few times, and heard that he stopped visiting the village at the beginning of the summer. If he was around, I would know about it, I would. You mentioned that you doubt a Roadwarden would simply ignore a head woman of such a large village, and she looks at the ceiling, chewing on her bottom lip. I don't know what you're trying to imply, she says with a tone that won't accept any discussion. I had as much in common with him as I have with you. I don't trust strangers with crucial tasks, and if a warden of any kind wants to demonstrate that they know what they're doing, I invite them to survive a year or two before they bark. Okay. What can you tell me about the tunnel south from here? I can tell you that the venerable Digger Iuno, I think that's an I, will tell you more about it than you want to hear, she will. Before the war, it used to be crossed every 10, 20 days, enough for us to keep it garrisoned. But with how little use it now it now has, I'd be mad to ask any of our youth to throw themselves at the beasts that live there. She glances at an open pouch that's lying just nearby, with a few dragon bones sticking out of it. Her toothless grimace is hard to read. And don't offer me your services to merely get rid of the Awoken. I need long-term solutions, not violence. And sooner or later, another threat will take their place. It may just as well stay occupied. At least no vagabonds will take over. If you say so. I guess we'll keep asking about White Marshes. And what do you think we ought to do? Encourage them by taking their land? Or startle their wild game? Maybe torch their roofs? She takes an awkwardly long pause, yet as you start to answer, she instantly cuts in. We have no plans to conquer or pillage their home, and while some of us would like to take matters into their own hands, I ain't risking our lives in battle with mere heretics. Without walls, we'll have nothing to keep us safe. Do you have any struggles with bandits? She looks at her guard, then around her. Have you noticed where we are? We're safe enough to fight a dragon, and if there are any bandits in our woods, they eat nothing, barring timber and worms. Whenever we trade, we send groups of 10, 20 souls strong, enough to push away a few footpads. Do you have any work for me? She runs her eyes over you, then frowns without as much as a hint of subtlety. Show me first that you're worth something. Work with our fishers, find someone seeking a messenger. I don't need a stranger before autumn, and we'll trade for a winter grain. Can you tell me about Gale Rocks? She speaks slowly, with a kindness someone may show an annoying brat that is one last chance to learn from their mistake. Do I look like someone who'd be interested in spending time as a guide or a telltale? Before you answer, she starts to move around a few small packages and looks inside one. Scat, spend some time among our walls, speak with the fishers, the artisans, all them lads and lasses whose blood keeps the shell of our village alive. I sigh. She observes you without a word, but her fingers are tapping on the table. The guard gives you a look. A telling look. Farewell. The shouted commands of overseers make you look around anxiously. Yeah, there's a lot of really strong female characters in this game, which is cool. You're told that the fishers spend long hours at the beach in the north and can be found in the village only during the very early or very late hours unless the weather makes fishing too dangerous. You learn that the locals craft mostly in winters and only work on the things they need for themselves. The only year-long artisans are the carpenters and coopers, but even they produce almost exclusively barrels. Can I talk to a carpenter? The coopers and carpenters in general have their space at the edge of the village, separated from the saltery with a stone wall that catches the shavings before they reach the fish, and which are then swept into a pile and moved to the smokehouse. You walk between the four woodworkers while the last one, a young woman with an apologetic smile, leaves the thatched store. She's wearing a heavy worn robe, half brown, half yellow, covered with dust and wood chips, and carries under her arm a stack of willow withies. 2 small seashells in many shades of orange are hanging from her ears. And stranger, we need space here. I was hoping to learn a bit about your work. I'm from Havlavan. With a sigh of relief, she approaches an unfinished barrel, whose staves are getting pressed together with a dense cage of weaved withies. In the city, the coopers would use old iron hoops, which would take less than a 20th of the labor. She drops her delivery and touches your shoulder with her large, strong hand. So the guild wants to speak trade again. Very well. All right. Very well. Let me show you round. I'm Demetia, the head carpenter, I guess. She states with hesitation, and one of her workers mockingly snorts. Your guide laughs in response. Shag an eel, idiot. Her small crew laughs as well. I smile. Her teeth are mostly yellow, but straight. My predecessor lost his eyes to a harpy a few days back, so I'm new to this role, but I don't worry, I know what I'm doing. She confidently straightens up. Right, we have 2 types of work, barrels and everything else. On good days, we make a barrel. On bad days, we fail. She laughs. But that's fine, we can always get it done after a good sleep. She goes into a greater detail, and your eyes start to wander between the benches, pieces of cut wood, mallets, axes, and shaving tools. Noticing this, she nods toward the other workers. When the barrels are resting or bending, we do other things, but only for our own farmers, builders, and fishers. Navica is the most experienced of us, so she makes boats, paddles, right? Responsible tasks. The tiny woman she points at doesn't raise her eyes. We sometimes make furniture, we do, but merely when something breaks. So the barrels are the most important. Do you have enough wood for them? Not really. We use oak, beech, and pine, but staves have to rest for 3 years, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. Every day I bring 14 staves and 2 headers here, and we replace them with new ones. We're careful with what we have. It's hard to plan years ahead. She gives you a warm smile. You need to talk about it with my neighbors first, but maybe the guild would like to provide us with timber. We'd rather barter than lock the coins in the keep, you see. The guild won't move wood from their own stalls so far to the north. Hey, another raid. Pyro Saber EXP. Welcome in, raiders. Thanks very much for the raid, Pyro Saber. How's it going? Let's get you a shout out here. Oh, thank you for that. Dozens of us. Dozens! Coming in with an Arrested Development reference. That's a pretty strong game. Playing Roadwarden. How are you finding Roadwarden? Thank you, Sal, for the shout out. It's going pretty well. I don't know what day I'm on. Day 13. And I just got here to Gale Rocks. I feel like I'm really kind of just scraping by, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm in okay shape right now. We're pretty hungry. But it's like, I feel Gale Rocks. I feel like I just never have enough money, and I can't get new weapons, or I don't know. We're on this day. I don't know if it opens up soon. I'm sure it does. Yeah, it's really cool. I've really been enjoying the writing. We were just saying this a little bit ago, that like a game like this that leans so much on the text, it's got to have just sparkling writing, and it really does. It really shines in that regard. It's something I appreciate about it. And the pixel art's really good. The sound design's been awesome. The music's great. The tension is there when you get into a scrape. Like, it's good. I've been really enjoying it. You started as a fighter trying to be a hero, and it seems you and I are very close together right now. Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was a mage, so I've done a little bit of magic. Yeah, I think our character is we're a mage. We used to be a mage, and we're trying to escape a difficult past. So we picked kind of like opposite starting points. But that's cool that we're about at the same time, the same part of the game. But yeah, thanks so much for the raid. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the game also. There's a lot of reading, but I've really been enjoying it. Yeah, so thanks so much. I'm glad you're here. Feel free to lurk or chat or do whatever you've got to do. I know sometimes right after a stream you got to take care of some stuff, but thank you very much. I'm opposite you right now. I feel like I've gotten a hold on things. I'm fighting through all the beasts in the woods. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, maybe it's has to do with how I started, but I just feel like I never have enough resources. But yeah, I'm hoping that opens up. I've survived a few confrontations. And I've gotten through the heart of the woods. I've found all the crossroads. Yeah. So we're doing okay. We're definitely doing okay. It's just I feel like I always go to a shop and I'm like, oh, I wish I could buy that stuff. All that stuff looks so nice, and I can never afford it. Like right now, I think we literally have one Yeah, I've got one dragon bone to my name. We just repaired our Gambeson. Me in real life, exactly, Alar. All that stuff looks so nice. Maybe someday I'll be able to not just look at things, but actually have things. But Pyro Saber, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. The guild won't move wood from their own stalls so far to the north, but they may help you set up a new hamlet or find you a partner who lives closer to Hag Hills. Hi, MDB. Same. Pyro Saber, I appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. We did just spend a lot to fix stuff. That's true. That is true. Yeah, cheers for that follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, MDB. Welcome in. Very nice to see you. Right. It would need to be someone outside of the peninsula. Here, everyone cuts only for themselves, they do. Even those jesters from creeks. We used to have a camp of lumberjacks, but now our warehouse gets emptier every day. For a bit, you discuss with her the value of a wagon filled with logs or planks, but the discussion leaves your area of expertise quickly. You simply promise to get the message to the merchants, and Domitia wishes you a safe journey. I take one more look around and leave the workshop. A harpy is circling dangerously low above the village. The guards are running around trying to keep up with it, while the children are being told to hide indoors. So yeah, I don't really know who else to talk to. What's beyond? Oh, you know what we could do is... Do I have any food? Yeah, let's eat something. There we go. What's beyond here? The roars of the sea. Oh, achievement unlocked. The coast. The roars of the sea reach you first, then the cold wind and the light. There are hardly any shrubs nearby, and as you ride downhill toward the white and gold beach, the sunbeams hit you with full force. The sea here is not like the one from Havlavan's port. The harbor and waters most people see during their busy days are full of life. Ships, warehouses, traders, dockers, and of course there's Sickle, the barrier island that provides the city with its lagoon, but also serves as a home to dozens of species of birds, monkeys, and rodents. For most people, the sea is never silent. But if one travels to Sickle and looks west or embarks on a boat and sails away, there's yet another view, a very different one. The never-ending blue, the emptiness, the humming waves, the monsters swimming to the surface just to take a breath, not even interested in the wooden vessels. Many say that if one jumps off a ship with a heavy stone, they will drown before they touch the seabed. Here, however, the water can't be separated from the rocks that cut through it, like a swarm of mushrooms in a dark forest. Their shapes and size vary, but it's their number that makes them unusual. If you were to name each one, you'd have to make up at least half of the names. There's no doubt where the name of Gale Rocks comes from. The stones piercing through the surface of the water are shaped like beast fangs, as if they're asking the ships to dare to test their strength. Skanda, you are one of a kind. Where it's possible, I keep the greener parts of the beach. Sand is awful for hooves. I literally cannot believe that. Oh, this looks like a Taiji puzzle to me. Is this a Tetris reference? It has to be a Tetris reference. You follow the sharp turn to the right. The road remains broad enough for carts and wagons and avoids the sands, letting Nagi trot without disturbances. The grasses to the east and south are short, and hardly any shrubs have managed to oppose the harsh winds. The human activity you witness is intense. A large barge is resting on the river, immobilized by the ropes and wooden posts, and you see a few people foraging at the beach and in the grasses. Even more people, most of them without wrinkles, are gathered at the pier where they prepare their boats and nets and talk about their plans for the following hours. You reach the end of the beaten path, getting to the stone-made pier, just next to a small dolman-shaped shed. Only the door seems to be fairly new, and you don't doubt that both of the structures have been repaired many times in the past, crumbling under the touch of the waves. Hatoful boyfriend, right? I was lurking, but I didn't watch because I don't want any spoilers for when we play the dating sim arc. That's the one. Head to the fishers. You approach a group of workers standing in front of the shed. Photius is there, one of them tells you, and points at the tallest man dressed in undyed wool and linen. He's discussing something with a group of workers, but as you head in his direction, he nods for you to join him on the side. His outfit is heavy, appropriately so for someone who spends long hours under the hits of the cold onshore winds. The massive leather boots, thick tunic and pants, and the heavy cloak now held under his arm make you wonder if he'd even been able to swim. Like most sea folk, he has long limbs, almost no facial hair, and ears so flat they are hardly noticeable. His neck draws your eyes. It's covered with marks left by the burning suckers of a sea monster, as wide as your finger is long. Below these scars, he's wearing a pendant made of a fist-sized black beak. Hello, flower. Spoiler, they're all birds. No, Adam, you haven't missed anything. We are... Organize a coup. Excellent. No, I didn't play. I haven't played it. Skanda played it. We are part of the arc of the dream command, and we could call them incentives, but I just kind of like the idea of like stepping out of your comfort zone, taking risks. It's that whole theme. So we're going to be playing game types we wouldn't normally play, and one of those, thank you, Skanda, one of those game types that we wouldn't normally play is a dating sim. So that's one of the ones we're going to do. Oh, I've tried that veggie option, Adam. He speaks first with the strong and confident voice of a young man, no older than 25. We don't really sell any catch on our own. Maybe ask our smokers, or the cook. That's fine. I was hoping to speak with you. I don't know that Adam's really leaving. I think that might have been just a joke. But I'm not sure. Kira, I'm open to other ones. It was the joke, yeah. I thought so. And who are you, exactly? After you introduce yourself, the man raises a corner of his mouth in an angry grimace. I won't have much to tell you, Roadwarden. Like my neighbors, he looks at the nearby fishers, I struggle with day-to-day living. I do. Not adventures. And even less so outsiders' schemes. Oh, cheers, Kira. Thank you. Do you have any work for me? Work? What do you know about fishing? You mentioned the docks of Havlavon, but after a few questions about fishing nets, boats, and winds, it's clear you don't impress in this conversation. Teaching one how to work with us takes time, effort, and rescuing those who fall overboard. You ain't a kid of ours, so if anything, it should be you who pays us for sharing what our forebears have mastered. You explain that you can fight better than most, and that gives him an idea. Our guards stay at the village, so we always move in groups, and waste time securing the beach from harpies and saurians, we do. We could put 3 more souls on the boat and keep you on the beach. You'd guard those not fishing with nets. What's in it for me? How much do you want, stranger? He responds carefully, and you spend a few minutes discussing the details. Right, you'll get a meal and 2 coins for a peaceful day, and another one for putting your life at risk, he summarizes. But you must be at the beach soon after dusk, while we're preparing our boats, and have enough strength to convince me you'll be more of a help than a bother. dating sims. That'll do it. Need any help with fishing today? Keep an eye on the caught fish, equipment, and resting fishers. This task will take you an entire day. It may get dangerous, but if so, you'll get an extra dragon bone. Yeah, let's do it. It turns out you don't have much to do. The hours go by, and during the lazy break, you receive a fresh roasted fish with a bowl of cold veggie stew. Okay. Are you sure you don't need any help with something that would fit my skills? So I should be maybe doing more of those mundane jobs that might help. Oh, it is December, isn't it? Already. He gives you a long look. You know what, outsider? There's something you could do for me. You can't really ruin it by trying. I need you to help my daughter. We'll say Phoebe. Seeing your look, he raises his hands. Don't worry, she's fine. Merely spellless. For generations, my family used Numa to lure fish and hold our breaths, but no matter how much she practices, she can't cast even the tiniest spell. There's something wrong with her soul. He pauses, and his voice grows pained. She's my only child, and I seek no new wife. I want her to have the choice to do whatever she wants, and it breaks me to think she won't have a way to follow in my footsteps. Why can't we help? I don't get why we can't help with that. His eyes are absent. A few years ago, our traders were at the home of this weird enchantress by the Eastern Road. I don't know her name. She lives close to the old watchtower. You can't miss it. If she's alive, she may still have these weird rocks. Spirit rocks, I think. They help weakened mages. Buy one, bring it here. Maybe eating some Numa will help Phoebe learn. Well, yeah, what are we gonna... We're gonna go buy this rock and what... You know, come on. I'm not a drifter. I don't hoard any savings. We gather everything in the keep. We do. A spirit rock should cost about 10 coins, bro. I've never even seen 10 coins. Since it's quite a journey from here, I'm ready to pay almost everything I've got. 15. This is a maybe. Numa is like mana. It's like spiritual ability for casting things in this game. So now we've got a bunch of money because this guy bankrolled us to go get... Oh, we don't. Never mind. What can you tell me about this enchantress? Well, we probably know more about her than he does. I've only seen her a few times when I was a teenager, though she was also young, I suppose. Tall, not as tall as I am, he smiles briefly, with cold eyes. For the few days she was around, she kept to herself. People say she's a witch, and a mad one at that. What does your daughter think about all this? What does she think? He looks at you as if you're mad, then glances at the nearby fishers. She'd be heartbroken to realize she's spell-less. I won't tell her unless I have no other way. She's merely a child. I'm doing what's best for her. Ice cubes for eyes. This sounds like a very unusual healing attempt. Are you sure you want to try this? I've asked our sorcerers about what they felt when they used the stones. Their Numa got stronger than on most days, and nothing bad happened to them. We risk nothing, outsider, he says with growing irritation, and stops himself from scratching the scars on his neck. Have you asked any herbalists, though? Maybe a priest or another enchanter? Have you heard about the previous Roadwarden, Asterion? You nod. In spring, I sent him to one of the greatest mages in the peninsula, some druid, I think, and that old prick told me there was nothing he could do. You hear that? And I had paid the messenger to learn this. He squeezes his cloak even tighter to his side. We have no herbalists here, but since the spirit rocks are safe, I'd rather spend my last coins for such a chance than try nothing and regret it. What you're asking for may be risky. I think we're good. I'll tell you when I have a spirit rock. He raises his hand to scratch his neck, but stops himself before he does so, and lets out an annoyed sigh. See you later. Belitas, welcome in. How's it going? think I would know if I existed. Ergo, some. Ghost, welcome in. You lead Nagy back to the road. I wash myself in the ocean, that'll help. The water is freezing, and after you're done, sand makes you wait for a while before you dry up enough to put your clothes back on. The unpleasant touch of salt covering your skin will travel with you. It's cursed. Lurky, but hello, no worries. Get in. Have a good lurk, man. Thanks for saying hello. Chat or lurk as much as you like. I approach the pier. Okay, so I think that's it for this area. The map is definitely opening up for us, which is cool. What time is it? Oh, we've got just enough time to get back to Foggy. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. The screeching birds are sitting on the logs of the palisade. Some of them observe you, but the group doesn't cease its squabbling. The tavern's windows and doors are opened, and a bunch of furs are spread over the fence. We're fighting bugs, says the shorter man when he sees your look. Okay. The room has been recently aired out. Foggy is eating stew from a bowl, but when she sees you, she finishes it with a few large gulps, and she welcomes you in with a smile. Oh, I'm actually full. That's cool. Good for us. Oh, I wanted to ask her... Oh, I still need to speak. Oh, wait. Wait. Time for me to go. Oh, maybe it's too late. It's probably too late to talk to them. Okay. Let's sleep. Yeah, we'll rent a room for the night. Listening to the grunts of the annoyed Nagy makes you feel uneasy, but at least the furs covering the floor are helping you relax. You don't even notice when it's already morning, while the smell coming from the lower floor is not inviting. At least it's not you who has to take care of it. Foggy smiles at you. Let's... Actually, okay, now we'll eat. We have 4 more meals. Okay, so let's go outside. Foragers. There we go. Zvi is sitting on the ground, while 2 others are leaning against the palisade. They glance toward you, but say nothing. You know this and that about traps. Can you teach me how to build them? Why? You're catching a hare or a stoat? When you explain that what you've seen in the tunnel, Ilan looks around. Oh dear, he whispers. You better look for some big traps. Ask Efren, maybe, from Creeks. He's a real hunter. Okay, great. So you... Okay, great. Great. It's just like him. No. Not at all. I don't know that we want to... Yeah, we're not going to buy anything. Do we have anything to sell? No. Okay. We're doing pretty good on our, stats. We look terrible. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Bathe. Managed to reach the sea. That's new. As we often do. How do I have only empty slots? Alright, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna call it now on Roadwarden. And we'll pick this up next time.